Hi, everybody, and welcome to another episode of the United States of a Movie podcast. It's a Monday, but it's a Monday that's going to try and be a fun day because I know that most of you have probably got a hangover right now, maybe got a bit of an upset stomach, haven't got much sleep because yesterday was the big game, the biggest of all games, at least if America is to be believed. And in fact, that is also the subject of this week's podcast. We'll get back to that though, because before that, we're going to welcome back our other teammates. For me, the head of defense right here, our defensive coordinator, Ryan Sandler, buddy. Welcome back to the show.
I don't know enough about football to know if that's a thing or not, so I'm not going to touch that one. But it's
Flag
great to be
on
here.
the play.
Everything I know about football, I learned from these movies. So, and I don't know if that's really a good thing.
Laces out.
I know laces out. That's the only one. That's all I got.
And you take a lot of drugs to do football. But we also couldn't do this podcast if it wasn't for our resident movie quarterback, Will Hirsch. Welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me. Although it's a bad day, I lost a lot of money. I bet the wrong way on the big game yesterday. Who would have guessed? Yeah, that play that we're all talking about.
That result.
Oh, man.
Yes. Man. Can you believe it? We are actually talking to you from the past. We actually recorded this podcast pre-Superb Owl final. All I know is one way or the other, Twitter is going to be accusing Taylor Swift of something. If the Kansas City Chiefs won, everyone on Twitter is saying that she had absolutely nothing to do with it. If the Kansas City Chiefs lost, everyone on Twitter is currently blaming Taylor Swift. I guarantee you.
You track one jet and everything goes fucking haywire.
Well, we decided here at the United States of a Movie that we would do a football special because it was the big game weekend, the Superb Owl, as we are calling it here for various legal reasons. So we decided to get together and see if we could pick the most football movie ever made here in America. And it actually got pretty interesting, especially because one of the movies isn't about football and is the most Superb Owl football movie of them all.
Yep.
It's so much so that I completely forgot that it was a plot line in maybe one of the most iconic comedies ever made.
Me too.
So necessary to the plot too. Like the movie. You can't take it out of the movie.
No, absolute linchpin of the movie. In fact, well, why don't we tell everybody what that movie is, Will? Come on, give it to us.
I picked the classic. Every sports fan has seen it and knows it by heart. Ace Ventura, Pet Detective. Obviously, the number one football movie ever.
Hey,
no debate.
Who'd have
episode over.
1994's Ace Ventura, Pet Detective, directed by Tom. Is it Shadyac or Shadyac? Shadyac. That's the way I've always come with it.
I think it's Shadyac, right?
Shady AC.
Because he goes like the insane asylum he goes to later is Shady Acres. So I'm assuming that's a play on his name.
You sneaky bastard. Okay, Shadyac. Tom directed it, starring Jim Carrey in one of the three blockbuster movies that he starred in 1994, going immediately from Who's Jim Carrey to the biggest star in the world. It was insane. Also starring Courtney Cox, Sean Young. Welcome back to the podcast, Sean. Tony Loke, right? That's right.
Tone Loke.
Tone Loke? God, man.
All
these things I've read as an English person and never known how to pronounce. And, of course, starring Dan Marino of the Miami Dolphins, the current quarterback at the time that this movie was made. This movie was fucking hilarious.
Yeah, we were. I think we were all a little bit worried going into this one that it would not hold up, but boy, were we wrong in it. It sure as shit did.
Even just in the opening scene, I couldn't stop texting you guys. In just the 3 minutes that is him with a box, smashing it up, going up to that apartment, I must have laughed 20 times.
I felt like watching this movie again that I somehow had like Alzheimer's for the past like 30 years. And this movie was used to like re-trigger my brain in a way because I somehow knew every single line and joke in this movie.
As it happened. It all came back, flooding back to me as well. I was the same thing because, of course, Ace Ventura has rightfully been sort of like highlighted for being like massively homophobic and transphobic in a very 90s comedy way. And while we're just definitely going to address this right at the top, that it is obviously very homophobic from the terrified straight white male perspective, the rest of the movie is also hilarious, and it was the 90s, and it was a bad time when it came to homophobia.
Yeah, that part aged horribly, and that but I think we all kind of expected that going in. Like that part's gonna be really rough, and it's not even just one little scene in the movie. It's kind of in the movie a lot.
It's the same kind of thing we ran into with like Bad Boys 2, you know, like it was just felt gross and but unfortunately it's like so pivotal to the plot of the movie.
But also it is very pivotal. Very and it was like, it's less sticky than I thought Bad Boys 2 was. Bad Boys 2 made me feel dirty.
Right.
This one just made me feel like they were immature.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Product of its time, I guess.
That's kind of what I mean. It's the way that I think
it doesn't make it better, but
no. But see, we have to progress. That's the whole point of progress. We have to move forward, and then when looking backwards, we can see like, wow, we were okay with this in the 90s.
The first movie is very anti-trans, but the second movie is very pro-rhinoceros. So I mean,
so it balances.
Yeah, very much, very much so. The thing is that, like you're saying, is this is the movie that introduced me to Jim Carrey, and it was in this moment that I realized that I had no idea who this guy was. I'm rewatching the movie, a flashback, and I realized that by the time that box gets up to the door and he's knocking on it, I am all in on this movie. I'm all in on Ace Ventura, and whoever this Jim Carrey guy is, he might be the funniest human being I've ever seen in a movie. That guy instantly gets the movie and gets you on board.
It's so funny to see it, because I haven't seen this movie in a very long time, but like I said, just rewatching it, I know every frame of this movie before it happened. Like every facial gesture he makes, every little thing I've probably seen this movie so many times when it was so huge in 94, right?
Yeah, 94.
Like this completely changed my perception of what a comedy movie could be. Better or worse.
We were watching some movie, and I remember you were saying like the teenage you decided you were going to base your entire sort of like humor and approach on that guy. Well, for me, I think
for sure.
I went Jim Carrey. You know, I tell you, I got it as a bit of a compliment. There were some articles written about me in Asia. They were talking to me, described me as a bit of a Jim Carrey type, and I'm like, what? That's amazing.
It's mostly because you talked with your ass on TV. That was like the big.
Well, not just on TV. I do it all the time. But we will get back to this movie, this very, very funny movie. But we have two other really good movies. I have to be honest, this is a great week of movies. Ryan, why don't you tell us a little bit about your movie, the movie that I once saw 5 minutes of on a treadmill in Thailand and started crying even without the sound.
That's how most people discover this movie.
That's a classic story.
I already forgot what year it takes place. Doesn't matter. But I picked a movie when we decided on doing football movies. Ollie and I argued over who was going to get to pick what. And I was like, you know what? Doesn't matter. We get to watch them anyway. So who cares? But I decided to pick Little Giants starring Rick Moranis and Al Bundy. I mean, Ed O'Neill.
Ed O'Neill. And
alternate timeline Al Bundy.
The reason you can't remember the year that Little Giants came out is because it came out the same year as Ace Ventura, The Mask, and Dumb and Dumber, 1994. So it was very much overshadowed by some guy called Jim Carrey taking over the entire...
There should have been more asshole speak in this movie. I get that. Or in any movie, really.
This was my first time watching the movie, and I'll tell you what, this movie's great, actually. It's directed by Duane Dunham, who's the editor of Return of the Jedi, interestingly enough. In fact, it was the most...
Obviously.
Clearly. Mostly directed by, because at one point it was taken away from him because he was falling behind on the football scenes. But it has the director of photography the year after for doing Schindler's List. Also, it's Steven Spielberg's director of photography.
The trivia on this movie is unbelievable as I was reading through it.
So that's why there was the girl with the red coat in the scene. Like that's
Icebox.
Yeah.
That's why they
or as Will calls her, my ex-wife.
And I knew
my ex.
Icebox. She was one of my favorite characters. I knew I recognized her. She's the daughter from The American President, which I have seen many times. She's Michael Douglas. She's the first daughter. As I said, but I tell you, this movie was great. I love this movie.
It was such a joy. Another one I was worried. I'm like, that's probably not going to hold up, or I'm misremembering it. But no, it's so cute. It's such a cute, sweet film that feels very Disney, but
Yes.
it's not.
It's Amblin. So, it's got that sort of Spielbergian, it's famously inspired by a 1992 McDonald's Super Bowl commercial.
Yeah.
That Spielberg saw and he goes, I want to make that, but I want to make it a movie.
Yeah. And he's like, I'm going to get Chris Columbus to do it. And Chris Columbus is like, fuck you. We're done. The movie that famously ruined their relationship.
Really?
Yeah. I think he wanted him to write it, but I think Chris Columbus was turned down for a script for Temple of one of the Indiana Jones films. And they kind of really threw a wrench in their friendship. So they hadn't worked together since.
Weird. Because this movie was fun. I like this movie. I'm like, in the way that it's sort of Sandlot adjacent. Yeah. It's the Sandlot football movie, basically. But also, like, it's a really positive movie. Lots of like, very
inclusive.
Like, very lots of like. They don't. I think the lowest hanging fruit is that the bigger kid farts a lot. There's a lot of fart jokes. But
he's
even
eating
then,
in every scene. Yeah.
But even then, they're all kind of like the outcasts, the nerdy ones, the this, that, and the others of it.
You're right. It's exactly like Full Metal Jacket.
Yeah, exactly. One thing I really liked about the movie is that they never resort to shenanigans or comedy moments or like slapstick. That they achieve their success by just doing it, like being good at football. Like they earn their victory is kind of what I mean, is that in any other movie it'd be like, all right, we're gonna use our nerdy powers to come up with some way to make the ball fly further. Even the one time they do try and cheat, right, with the sticky thing, it goes wrong.
A play that so famously worked in this movie that teams tried to replicate it like in real life, like where you put the ball down, like that really happened.
Well, it was yes. The what's it called, Fumblerooskie. So it happened before. So the thing that they do at the end is actually a real play that I believe happened. It was the Fumblerooskie. Like I said, again, Ryan, I probably know more about football than you do by the sounds of it.
Definitely, yeah.
Because I learned everything about football, American football, from my choice, which was also, I think, Ryan's choice.
Yeah, 100%.
Because this movie rips. Oliver Stone's Any Given Sunday came out in 1999.
Again, a year famous for not having any movies.
Right?
Yeah. Just a desert. Just nothing.
But Al Pacino, Cameron Diaz, Dennis Quaid, Jamie Foxx, James Woods, LL Cool J, Aaron Eckhart, Matthew Modine, John C. McGinley. I'm barely getting started. It is an absolutely stacked cast, and it is shot like a fucking music video.
If football looked like this in real life, I would watch it.
Never stop watching football.
No.
If they just had the needle drops that they have in this movie, and like the movie took place, like actual games.
People were losing eyeballs. I mean, I'm all in, baby.
Yeah, if Oliver Stone was doing the commentary.
I'll have something to say about some of that stuff a little later, because after a certain point, I was like, "What are we, Oliver? What are we doing, buddy?" Hold on.
I think,
Let's not wait. Let's get into it. Let's start with Any Given Sunday. Let's get into a movie that is crazy and over the top and has flash, like screenshot, like everything freezes. We've got cuts to the past, to history, to ghosts of football past, to lightning bolts, to close-ups, to breasts and penises and cocaine and everything. And it's all.
And the sound effects of like lions and other wild animals, it's fantastic.
Lots of
really, I think of all these, it's the only movie that really does capture the essence of the sport. I think, like that feeling of like warriors going to battle. I think it really captures that so well.
Yeah, and he definitely takes a very, very subtle approach to that. About the idea of gladiators. He definitely doesn't do specific cutaways to Ben-Hur. He doesn't also get Charlton Heston in the movie.
It took me so long to figure out, like, is he making a metaphor for something? I'm not quite, I don't know. It was just, just under the surface.
Who else could have made this movie, though? Tony Scott?
I actually, at one point, I was like, hold on.
Jerry Bruckheimer,
Yeah. It's very Bruckheimer with the lightning and the just everything. Really.
Yeah, and the amounts of cocaine.
Well, yeah.
Yep.
There is.
Well, that was Don Simpson, who let's see how that lifestyle looked for him. Oh dear. So, don't look up Don Simpson, kids. It's a sad story.
Oh, you make one Days of Thunder, and the fucking world comes crashing down.
He still managed to posthumously produce Top Gun Maverick, though. Will, I got a question for
That's
you.
work
Have
ethic
you
for you.
seen Any Given Sunday? Have you
No.
You've never seen this?
What?
Never seen it before. So this is the first time seeing it.
Holy
stop the
shnikes.
presses, Will. Just you talk for 20 minutes. I just want to go.
Yeah. So I made a mistake of watching this movie like really, really late. And so after like 6 hours, I was like, we must be at the end of the movie. And I pressed pause and realized I had another 6 hours to go. And I was like, oh my God.
we
decided... And everything had happened at that point. Everything in the world had happened. It's just name something that could possibly happen in the world. It happens in this movie. I literally think there's nothing that isn't covered. And it all happens. This was, sorry, I'm going off because like this movie was like, blowing my head away. There was the Jamie Foxx character. The thing I thought was so funny, Willie Beeman. The thing I thought was so funny, and it like makes this movie like in a good way, is he plays like 3 games. He wins only 2 of them. He loses his first game. By the 3rd game, he is the biggest thing football has ever seen. They're making music videos. He's on buses. He was a second backup quarterback.
Yeah,
like he was like the 3rd guy, and like they already have like merch and stuff like just for him ready to go. By his 3rd game, 1 of which he already lost. Like I was like, this is
I'm with you on this one.
Insane.
It's funny you say that. I just assumed it was because you're right. It was like they had 4 games before the playoffs.
Yeah,
right.
And
for some reason, I assumed it was like months later. Like, oh,
me too.
The timeline is so like
it's so funny.
So
I thought the same thing, Will. It's like when they come out and there's him on the Metrex thing on the side of the bus, and like he's just done his music video, which by the way he wrote and directed apparently. Well, that's all Jamie Foxx. But like, I had the same thought as he comes on a game, which is the opening of the show. Then we have 2 games that he wins, 1 game that they lose in the rain, and a bye week. Then I'm like, this whole movie is 6 weeks.
Right. Yeah, and like 10 years worth of story happens within like those 6 weeks, and just it's insane.
Epic. It's epic.
Yeah,
it is epic. I'll set up the premise of the movie just a little bit, very quickly.
Okay, go.
Yeah, so basically they couldn't get the NFL involved. So technically, but it is the NFL, but not the NFL because they referenced the Dolphins once. But Al Pacino,
right?
Yeah, it's the AAFA or something like that.
Yeah, something nuts like that.
Al Pacino is the coach of the Miami Sharks. They're 3/4 of the way through their season. Their number 1, their quarterback, their Cap Rooney, played by Dennis Quaid. He's very much the kind of like, the Brett Favre or whatever, like the guy that's still playing
corn-fed white
40s. Gets injured right at the beginning. Oh no, he's injured. Like the bit where he's tearing at the grass with his fingers, that's a shot that always sticks in my head. The 2nd string quarterback goes out.
Immediately.
He was already in the water. He was in the water boy. He gets injured. So suddenly we find out that one of the protagonists of this movie, the 3rd string quarterback, Jamie Foxx, is brought off the sidelines, thrown into the game, and that's where it all kicks off.
Yeah. Nice.
Yep.
Well, and then he barfs first, and then that just becomes his runner. But Will, I was going to ask, like, what was you hadn't seen this, which is crazy, like blowing my mind to hear, but did you have like a preconceived notion about this movie? Like, what did you think it was going to be, or were you aware of it?
I was definitely aware of it. I thought it was much more of, honestly, I was expecting more of like a Michael Mann style drama. And what we got was like, if Tony Scott did like steroids, it was just insane.
What if cocaine was football?
Yeah. I was going to say it's Tony Scott and Michael Mann just completely jammed together. It's a Michael Mann style heat-sized movie with Al Pacino, with all the quick cuts and craziness of Tony Scott, close-ups, needle drops, everything.
Yeah.
It's just,
which isn't typically like Oliver Stone's style.
Yeah.
That's why I thought it was so strange. I was like, this is not like him really. But I mean, in terms of like the story being ridiculous, it is. Yeah. But just in terms of the filmmaking, I was like, he doesn't usually do this.
Did he do Natural Born Killers before or after this? That's what I was trying to figure out.
Oh, that would have been before. But even that, I would say, is crazy, but not like this. Not like where it's like there are scenes where characters are talking and it just feels like he's like, I don't know if we can get across that there's like a storm brewing. Wait, what if I cut in shots of a storm brewing? Then the audience will get it.
And to be clear, none of this is a negative to the film. It
No,
somehow
not at all.
fucking works, and it shouldn't. It's spaghetti being thrown at walls, and you're like, I'm gonna eat that spaghettis.
Yeah, I mean, I remember watching it like very first week of college. In the room next to mine, we were all making friends, all these guys, and we bang on Any Given Sunday, and we all loved it. But I just remember in that first sort of like 5 to 8 minutes, I was like, this movie rips. It's like, it looks great. The camera's right there in the middle. People are getting the shit kicked out of them on the football field. It's like the level of commitment to the game and the crunching of the sound effects and just the beautiful cinematography. There's so many great spiraling pass shots.
Yes, I was going to say, just the shots of the football being thrown like, for a long time.
Yeah, it's like we're getting 20 seconds on this ball with a really good song playing.
And the whole time I'm just like, okay, he's doing it.
Yeah,
great.
This movie does like a great job of like really adding weight and like importance to like just all their plays and like the ball movement and stuff. Like it does the best like capturing the feel of like what it must be like to be like on the field there.
And then you get the tension of them, you know, the interplayer tension off the field as well, which is done so fucking well.
See, that's what I was going to say, is it doesn't just give you the feeling of what it is to be on the field. It gives you the feeling of what it is to be in the change room, in the management office, in the, even just like as the owners and stuff like that. It goes all the way up to the box, all the way down. And stuff like that is that you get shots from the box of a play happening on the field that matches the play that's happening on the screen. That I'm like, the little attentions to detail like that were incredible to be honest.
The one thing I noticed though is because the Sharks wear all black, but not a single person in the stands is wearing that.
Is wearing black.
All like yellow or red. Like
that was the one part of the production design where I was like, you know, the stadium is not themed to their color and stuff, where I was like, okay. And like honestly, my biggest negative is honestly the costume design and just kind of the production design, like the actual stadium and the fans and stuff. Yeah. Did I say costumes? Such a movie guy.
And you're the football guy, man.
but like, yeah, the uniforms were, especially like the later it went on in the movie. By the time it got to Dallas Knights, I was like, I would have fired the costume designer.
For some reason,
it's so bad.
Thought they played I know they play in Dallas now, but I for some reason thought it was San Francisco because the colors are similar. But no, they end up going on to lose to San Francisco at the very end. Because before the second ending.
Yeah.
Because Oliver Stone is a fan of San Francisco. Apparently, that is.
I love the one thing I was thinking of too is at that last game you finally get cuts of people reacting to things happening on the field in the crowd, and it's like someone dancing around. And they just bumps him on the head, and the guy like goes down. That was great.
Well, with interesting sound effects. That's the thing. At times, there's even like he throws the ball and there's boo, you know, like
or like a car crash or something.
Random sound like. Yeah, I mean, the guy goes off the side of the field and you hear the sound of tires screeching, for Christ's sake.
It's like AI edited the film. But again, not a negative at all. No. This movie fucking rules.
No.
So, Ryan, you watched the director's cut, didn't you?
I did, yeah.
Now, the thing is, I actually own the director's cut, and I haven't been able to watch it because I don't have a goddamn Blu-ray player, which we've covered on this thing before. But, so I watched the theatrical, and it's interesting because the director's cut has actually got 6 minutes of footage that isn't in the theatrical, but cuts 12 minutes.
Yeah.
So it's actually paced better. There's scenes that I missed that I'm like, we first meet Willie Beeman in the director's cut with him eating chips on the, he's just goofing around. Whereas the first time in the theatrical, he's just thrown out on the field. There's another bit later on where they're at that party and he's criticized in defense. And so Shark gets on top of his car and cuts it in half. That, again, is cut. So all of these cool bits.
I swear I would have, are you sure? I swear I saw that in the theater that he cuts.
I thought so too, but I was like, wait, that didn't happen. I was watching the theatrical cut.
Because I remember that like very vividly. It's great.
Wait, so you're saying that's in the director's cut? That's not in the theatrical cut? Oh, okay. I must have watched the director's cut then, because I saw that scene.
Did you see?
Yeah, I think that was the original.
Was Willie Beeman eating chips the first time you meet him? Was he sitting on the side?
Everything was being thrown at me so fast, I might not have picked up on it.
It's almost like
I was literally sitting there like, oh my god!
Yeah, you're a third string quarterback, and you were just thrown into the middle of the game with no preparation. This movie also, it's very reflective of the really, really interesting choices that she made throughout her career. But has a fantastic performance by Cameron Diaz.
Cameron Diaz, yeah.
You know, and that's the thing is that I think Will doesn't agree, but I'm Cameron Diaz made some really interesting choices in her career of going, instead of going one way and just going, I'm the blonde bombshell, this, that, and the other, when I'm going with the weird stuff. I'm doing Any Given Sunday, I'm doing A Life Less Ordinary, I'm doing, you know, like these kind of random sort of choices. I think she's great in this movie. Will, you disagree?
I don't know. I might be the only one though, because I was talking to my roommate Abel, who is an actor and he loves this movie. I was talking with him about it, and he disagrees with me. But I was just like, I didn't buy her at all. Like when she's in scenes with like going toe to toe with De Niro,
Pacino,
I wasn't buying it. Oh, did I say De Niro?
Yeah.
Okay. My dad does this all the time and like mixes them up, and now clearly. Just like how he says "warsh."
So when he watches
Heat, I started to say it.
So when he watches Heat, he only thinks there's one of them. Like,
yeah, he thinks it's like a social network.
You know that guy, Al De Niro.
Yeah, he thinks it's a social network. They've like CG'd both guys. Yeah, that's what he thinks. So.
I liked her.
Thanks, Dad.
Fan of the pod. I liked her performance in this. Even watching it now, she comes off as this like really ice cold, you know, owner, but not in like a major league kind of way. She's got this like vulnerability about her. And you get that like really torn dynamic and her whole family thing, because she's like living in her father's shadow and she wants to shake things up. But
and she's the woman in the manliest of man's games. It's the big boys club. And then, you know, there she is, you know, I guess with that pressure of, like you're saying, with her father being a famous owner, she's clearly like, you know, lived and breathed football with her dad as well. And it's like, I guess it's trying to establish herself. And I think one of my favorite lines regarding her character is Charlton Heston, where he's like, I genuinely believe that woman would eat her young.
Yeah.
And it's like,
which distracted me because like at no point did anybody say like, are you the guy from that Gladiator movie that was in this movie earlier?
Don't worry about it.
You look exactly like.
You're thinking of Russell Crowe.
Oh, that's right.
I just assumed that the chairman, that it was just Charlton Heston as Charlton.
Yeah. In this alternate universe, he just became the chairman.
But it's like,
he went from being the publisher and to the Sutter Kane novels to.
Oh, that's right. Yeah.
Because like Cameron Diaz has like, you know, you've got things like My Best Friend's Wedding. You got like Something About Mary, but you get other things like I said, A Life Less Ordinary, Any Given Sunday, Being John Malkovich. Vanilla Sky, Gangs in New York. I like her in Gangs in New York.
I just want to say, like on record, I think she's really good. I've really enjoyed her in a lot of other movies. So it's only been this movie where I was like, I'm not feeling it. For some
Fascinating, because I think this is one of her absolute best. This
I don't know, like John Malkovich and Gangs in New York. I think she's like way better.
The Mask, hello.
The Mask, obviously, where she played The Mask.
Who was famously dropped out. She replaced a young Adam Driver, I believe.
Yes.
Another person that's absolutely killing it in this movie by playing just as well as he did in White House Down is James Woods, playing an immaculate, brilliant, fantastic piece of shit.
My favorite.
Because
what a stretch for him.
His method acting of he's been maintaining this asshole persona ever since his entire career, and all the times other outside of it, but he kills it in this movie.
Especially him like up against Matthew Modine, like
Matthew Modine,
and who then later becomes
kind of
James Woods' character.
You see him becoming
starts to crack.
Yeah.
But it's like two scenes. He gives him the extra injection, and then he's like flirting with a cheerleader. Like that's it.
That's how fast it happens. Everything in this universe happens so fast.
And you have the bricklayer himself, Aaron Eckhart, in this movie. Guys, everyone is in this fucking movie. It's insane.
Bricklayer Mania has taken the country by storm. People can't stop talking about it.
I will say, Bricklayer, it's a good movie.
You've got John C. McGinley as well. We know Oliver Stone loves John
with the most insane hairdo ever.
And that's when I knew that, like, that was another bit that was missing from the theatrical that I'm watching, is the bit where I was waiting for when he goes to give Willie Beeman some love. Oh, I am so down with that, my man, and tries to give him. He's like, I'll hold off on the love, thanks, my man. Like he's just being so like white black, and like that's not in the theatrical as well. I was like, God damn it, I'm missing all my favorite parts. Also, quick blink and you'll miss it. Elizabeth Berkley. Well, I was like, man, I feel that poor girl. She got so fucked over by Showgirls, man.
Yeah, it's unfortunate. Yeah, not a lot of people like their career is really recovered from Showgirls, but
I know I haven't.
But yeah, still one of the best bad movies ever.
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing bad movie. It's great to watch with people. But yeah, I mean, Any Given Sunday, I think is just Oliver Stone clearly loves football. I mean, to the point that he puts himself in the whole movie.
Yeah,
it's great
as the alcoholic, commentator.
Yeah, he's basically playing the character from Major League.
Bob Uecker. Yeah. Oh man, I wish Bob Uecker was in this movie.
Oh my god.
But a lot of people are in this movie. Jim Brown, stuff like that. You get a lot
so good.
Yeah,
he's got one of the best lines in the movie. And all
what is it? Yeah, he goes, I don't
get heart attacks, motherfucker.
Okay,
I give them. Fucking great. Such a good line.
He had to have made that up on the spot. Oh. That's like a line that's like too good to for somebody to have written down. That had to be a Jim Brownism.
I feel like, and it's just this movie. I think kind of like you were saying, I think it's a movie that was assembled from 45,000 hours of footage, like by an editor that was just mainlining cocaine and speed. Yeah. And because it's just the most frenetic. It is a 2.5 hour movie. It is not a short movie, but it is frenetic. Even in like Will is saying, it's two people having conversation over jambalaya, and we're still cutting away to storms, Ben-Hur, just lightning, things like that, close-ups. It's just like, how can I make this frenetic and crazy? Here we go. It's like that scene when Liam Neeson jumps over a fence in Taken 2. There's 14 cuts in 5 seconds. Just imagine an entire movie like that.
You get some really great screamy Pacini in this one, though. Maybe some of the best.
Yeah, which is kind of nice to see, because I realized after The Insider, we really didn't get a whole lot of that in here. So it was kind of nice to see him just go full out of control. But and I obviously that speech at the end, the monologue he gives,
Did you get the interesting facts about that?
That it's based on a real.
That it's a real?
Yes.
Yeah.
Because I was making the point.
Yeah.
I was making the point to Abel where I was like, as I was watching it, I'm like, there's something about the speech that's too good for this script.
Yeah.
There was just something about it where I'm like, the rest of the dialogue in the movie is not like this. There's something very it just had something extra, so I had to look it up later.
Yeah.
And then found out, it's based on a real speech. Of course.
I believe it was a
that's why it's so good.
Marty Schottenheimer speech, who's he's also in the movie.
Oh yeah, he's got a really quick moment cameo. He does. I was just reading about that. It reminds me of Ted Lasso did the same thing.
I was gonna say, yeah.
Where it's you can't because you're hurt. You don't want to go for practice, but you're hurt. And that was Alan Iverson famously getting chewed out. And I was like, that's what I really like that actually, because the Inches speech is definitely one of my favorite Pacino moments.
Yeah.
And it's like, you're gonna crawl with your fingers. And it's and they keep flashing back to Al Pacino's football career. And I'm like, professional footballers 5'3" back in the day. He's this little fella.
Well, he was in a horrible accident where they had to chop off 2 feet from his leg.
Now imagine that after that speech, dodgeball ending.
Perfect
movie. It kind of does do the dodgeball ending though, doesn't it? Because even as a Brit watching this and not fully understanding how the playoffs work, and I know a Super Bowl exists and stuff, and I figured it would just be like a league like it is in the UK, but it's the big moment, the big game is a great victory where they play as a team and win the first playoff game, and then the end of the game is an interview where he goes, and we lost the next game, the end. So it basically does the
whole epilogue of this movie is so crazy.
It's almost it's gonna start a whole nother movie.
He's like, guess what? I'm retiring. Just kidding. I'm going to New Mexico to start a new team, and I'm taking Willie Beeman with me. and then everyone is like, what's going on? They're all so fucking pissed.
Yeah,
it's just a bunch of people mouthing fucker. What? It's not know this was gonna happen.
It's such a so I was cracking up during that because so the ending before the ending is the really beautiful Willie Beeman and his coach, they're talking, and Pacino's given his savor this moment speech. It's really, really, really good moment between the two of them. And he does puts his hand on his shoulder and they split, and then when Beeman turns around, he's gone like Batman.
He was a ghost the whole time.
Yeah. I was watching
he's just hiding behind the post.
You can't see me, right?
He is tiny. So.
But
again, better movie.
It was like I was like watching that, and it's like pulling back. You see in the stadium, and I'm like, wow, this is like a really sweet moment, heartwarming moment for Oliver Stone to end on. Goes to black, and then just kidding. Here's the ending.
You get like another 10
fuck
minutes.
You guys, I'm starting a new team.
It's crazy.
I was dying laughing.
This whole time he's like, I'm
funny.
I'm literally saying like, I'm too old for this shit. This game has ruined me. It's ruined my family. They cut a whole bunch of his family shit out that you don't even see that
Jim
stuff,
Caviezel.
right?
Yeah.
He was too busy going down the QAnon thing. So.
Oh boy.
Yeah. For real. You know what? I have to kind of respect a director who's like, wow, I've got the perfect ending to my film, a perfect capstone to it. I'm going to do 10 more minutes of story and just completely blow that up.
Yeah, God.
You know what? Respect.
It does really. It's
awesome.
you're right. It's so jarring and so unnecessary. Like it's the most insane press conference. It's crazy. It's like they're all holding this press conference for his retirement.
Yeah.
He does retire and then immediately is like, guess what? Weird. I'm back, bitch.
It's because as a movie, it kind of gently guides you to the exit, doesn't it?
Mm-hmm.
Kind of like Will's saying, is you've got this great, it could have just gone directed by Oliver Stone. The story is done. But it's like, no, Grandpa, come on. Okay, look, it's kind of like the Texas goodbye. It's like, it takes an extra 15 minutes to actually leave anywhere.
And do they, while that whole, am I misremembering? I just watched this movie. I'm misremembering. While that whole press conference thing has happened, are credits going over it?
Yes.
Like,
yes.
Okay. They're like, you don't need this part. Just,
so you got like,
it's like you're standing in the theater eating your popcorn and walking out like, wait, they're,
Al Pacino in this movie? I thought that was Robert De Niro.
Nick Fury is here? What?
Yeah. I'm going to create a team. I know. Oh my God. That was the whole point of the press conference. No, not that kind of team.
I got a few inches left.
Oh my God. This movie though, it's like there's so much to it. Like you've got a lot of actual players involved, like the guy that plays Shark. He's great.
Lawrence Taylor, yeah.
You got LL Cool J. He's great. What's interesting is like there's that bit that kind of randomly gives LL Cool J a big gash on his forehead, and then he's got his head covered for the rest of the movie. That came from an actual fight with Jamie Foxx because he actually punched him during that scene as well. They were fucking at each other's throats.
They hated each other, yeah.
But I think
were they fighting over who got to be in Deep Blue Sea? Was that that was the battle?
Well, let me ask you this: who had the better song?
You know what?
Deep Blue Sea or Willie Beeman and
I've got to go with my hat is like a shark's fin. That's the best.
That's the correct answer. Yes.
Yeah.
Deepest, bluest. My hand is like a shark's fin.
Mm-hmm.
Now, we're gonna figure out how to do that. We're gonna do the best ocean movie, so we can do the main. Did you guys read? And I didn't know this until today. Who was originally cast as Willie Beeman?
No. Was it Adam Driver?
Oh my God.
It was not Adam Driver. It
was an actual football player, right?
It was not. It was a rapper. Who was cast in the movie, but he went to training. They found out he couldn't throw a down ball to save his life.
P. Diddy.
P. Diddy.
That's right.
Wow.
What? P. Diddy? Right. And then Will Smith turned it down. And much like I was saying when it came to Ace Ventura, like was my introduction to Jim Carrey, because I'm British, right? So I didn't watch Saturday Night Live in color or anything like that. This is the first time I ever saw Jamie Foxx.
So that means Will Smith turned this down and the Matrix down to do Wild Wild West.
Yeah. Killed it. Yeah.
Perfect choice.
Ain't that a slap in the face?
Is that a line from that movie? I haven't seen it. I got it.
Oh, there we go. Slapped him on the back of the head. Keep my references out your mouth. But like, okay, no, Will, I want more. I want more, buddy. I want like, what are some of the things that you were surprised about? What are some of the things you enjoyed, story-wise, plot-wise, anything like that? I'm fascinated.
I mean, like there was just a lot. Oh, my favorite guy in the entire movie. We haven't even mentioned him yet. Who is the big roided out guy who paints his face all the time, hits on old ladies, bangs everyone?
Yeah. What do you do for kids?
Yeah.
Oh, you mean the guy who just has alligators?
Yeah.
Yes, my favorite scene in the entire movie, just this big roided out, muscly, naked guy with face paint just throws a gator into the like showers.
Huge fan of Metallica.
Yes, that's why I was like, this is the coolest guy who's ever lived.
I think he played for like I think a lot of these guys played for like Arena League football. If I'm not mistaken, right? I don't know if he's one of them, but I love the face paint. I think the guy fucking rules.
Yeah, definitely the coolest. He was my favorite, like of all like the ancillary like guys. Dennis Quaid was awesome in it. Famously, the only thing he's famous for is father of Jack Quaid. But I think The only
The
thing
guy
that
from
bothered me
Logan
about
Lucky?
yeah, exactly. I think the only thing that bothered me about him in this movie, and nothing to do with his performance, but I think they said he was like 38. And I was like, hey, I'm 38. Hold on.
Dude, what
This
about
guy,
what about
this old man is not my age.
what about Jim Carrey's wife in this movie? Or I don't know if she was at the time.
Oh my
Well,
God, you're right. I
yeah,
forgot.
right? Lauren Holly. My favorite though, and Ollie, I know you love this bit, is when they finally bring Cap back for that last playoff game, and they're in the huddle, and he goes, "I missed your ugly mugs." I fucking love that.
It's hang on. So no, I knew it. So that the big roided out guy, right?
Mm-hmm.
We saw him in this podcast for our Christmas special. He is Max's son from Batman Returns.
No fucking way.
Really?
Get out of here,
man. So
what?
we know what he was doing in between the movies. A lot of steroids.
Well, he was a former bodybuilder, so yes, he was doing.
I mean, he was big in Batman Returns, but I
guess he also had a bottle.
I was so used to him doing
coats, so I guess
he was so good at doing his I can never remember his fucking name. God. His impression of
Adam Driver.
Who was his father in that movie? God.
Christopher Walken.
I can never. I don't know what it is. I can never remember Christopher Walken's name. But he was doing the best Christopher Walken impression as his son in Batman.
Yeah,
he almost should have done that in this.
You
my
know
God.
him. You know him from other movies. So you know him. He was in Necessary Roughness as a football player. Hudson Hawk. Okay, fine. He's in Street Fighter as Zangief.
Yes, that's what I remember him from.
Okay.
Yeah.
And he's also Leatherface in the Texas Chainsaw Massacre remake.
Which one?
So there you go.
You're gonna have to be more specific.
That is everyone after the first one, which
2023 one or the
yeah, right, all of them.
The one that's coming up now next.
But yeah, I knew there was something about that guy's face. I'm like, wait a minute. And it was when we were watching Batman Returns that I go, I know that guy. I knew that guy from somewhere. Yeah. There we go. That's our little connection. But yeah, Dennis Quaid as well. Dennis Quaid playing an 87-year-old quarterback. He's great in this movie too. He's so like that bit where he's just like shouting at the like, tell him I'm an athlete. They gotta dial it up in here. I love that kind of.
And he looks like he's in a hospital room that's also in his house. Like it didn't look like a hospital room at all. Like it was fully furnished, like paintings on the wall.
Welcome to the being rich, buddy.
What you get when you're an NFL or not an NFL, AFF, whatever.
They couldn't even get the AFL. Yeah.
Crazy acronym was. Yeah.
AFF, the American Football Association.
Yeah, something like that. I was dying.
Dennis Quaid's killing it in this movie. I think
Lauren Holly was great too, and I think the woman that plays Jamie Foxx's like love interest, she was great. And they have that huge falling out because, he's so focused on football and nothing else.
I love it. Like he has just been riding the bench on the NFL or the AFL-CIO, whatever the hell it is, for the entire season. He gets brought off, and she's like, you
didn't introduce me to the mayor.
And he's like, I'm busy. I do have a football game. And then they have this argument where they just get so mean. She's like, you got a small dick. He's like, fuck you, bitch. And like, break up. And then, and then again, they see each other months later. No, they don't. It's 3 weeks later.
You're blowing my mind that this has only been like less than a month. It's fucking crazy. And I refuse to believe it. This movie takes place over the span of 3 years.
Yeah, that's the only thing that makes sense. But yet the dates they tell us in the movie.
Do you get that bit where he follows her into the ladies' room and he's like, Barbara Bush, where you been my whole life?
Yeah,
great.
A lot of old ladies getting hit on in this movie. So that's rad.
But not enough.
Not enough. Never enough. But.
It is Florida, man. There's a lot of old rich ladies in Florida. Did you guys pick up on the interesting connection to Ace Ventura, apart from the fact that it is also shot in Miami? Do you know that?
Yeah, and Bancroft,
the dolphin was one of the football players, right? Like
I was gonna say, and Bancroft's dogs are the ones he's trying to rescue in the beginning of this video, and then he gets blown.
It is. It's a little bit more random than that. It is Cap Rooney's house, Dennis Quaid's character's house.
Oh, it's Dan Marino's house. Yeah,
it's Dan Marino's house.
That's right. Oh, that fucking isotoner money, baby.
Yeah. Oh my God, how many isotoner fucking references are there in these movies? Like even in Ace Ventura, there were a lot of isotoner gloves. Lots of Isotona gloves throughout.
Were there Isotona references in Any Given Sunday?
I don't know. I'm thinking of Kanye West. It's just like he used it as one of his raps. Don't even worry about it. We'll come back. Aaron Eckhart, tiny little role, killing it.
Yeah. Wait, I'm sorry. Tiny little role. He becomes the captain of the team, the coach at the end, and he's like, "What?
He's a defensive coordinator."
Crozier. I love that.
Oh, the stank that he put on Crozier. It's ridiculous. But yeah, I mean, like the way that it works is essentially like the plot of the movie is that Willie comes back. He's really good. He starts kind of like it's all going to his head. He starts calling his own plays, but he's blowing up. The team's winning. So everyone's like, well, what do we want to do? So it's kind of a battle between the old guard of Al Pacino, the new guard of Cameron Diaz. You've got, the sort of Jamie Foxx thinking he knows it. You've got Dennis Quaid feeling like he's going into the autumn of his career kind of thing. But it all kind of comes together in that final game where Cameron Diaz kind of realizes this is kind of, it fucked up her dad. She has this moment with her alcoholic mother. Jamie Foxx realizes that Dennis Quaid actually knows a hell of a lot about what he's doing, and maybe he should actually sort of like listen to his coach and work, and they can all work as a team. I mean, it works. The narratives, like arcs, all come together. Towards the again, I'm looking at Will, my resident writer and filmmaker. We'll see what he says about that. But to me, as someone watching this movie, I feel like it came together. Like it takes all those bits that it's given us, puts it together in that final game. Everyone learns a little bit of a lesson. We don't. We got 10.
The only thing that I love more than someone putting together a team, famously, is when there's already a team, but that team is so fractured that they have to like reteam and come together. Oh, I love that.
The team has to put their own team together?
Well, they have to put it back together.
So the Humpty Dumpty clause is kind of what you're like,
Yeah.
Yes.
All the king's horses and all the king's men have to put it back together again. Also, the football. Let's just for a second. I mean, I've seen a lot of football movies. I think this one has some of the biggest hits, some of the sort of best shot plays. It feels like, they're not playing at 3/4 speed. It feels like they're playing an actual football game out there.
The game they're playing in the rain, is filmed so fucking well. So well.
You had to. I mean, Will, you had to be like me, thinking, like, what a nightmare to shoot that.
Oh my god! Like, no. If you've ever filmed, if you've ever filmed outside in the elements, it's already the worst. So filming outside, even if it's movie rain, is bad. And then you've got like the heavy clothes on top of that. Yeah, that would be like the worst day of filming by far. That would.
You've got lights and lenses and electricity and microphones. And
just coordinating all that is just a nightmare. Like I said, like I filmed out in the woods enough times to know, like, just anytime you're outside, it's just 10 times harder. Like no matter what. And so any complication.
That's when Will is spying on people in the woods from the trees, right?
Right. Yeah. What did you guys think? Did you guys think I was referring to anything else? Like, yeah.
I will. But
I have my little hut up in a tree.
When they come to you to shoot the sequel to Tucker and Dale versus Evil 2, still tuckering, still tuckered out. I don't know.
All tuckered out.
All tuckered out.
Look at there later. You would jump on that like a fucking grenade.
I tell you what, that rain scene is worth it for that one shot of Beeman getting tackled and his helmet comes off.
Oh my god, my back hurts just thinking about that.
Oh. There was a lot of hits where I was just like, yeah, you can't fake that. Like they had to get like football players to do that.
The one where Cat Rooney gets tackled from 2 different directions and they spin him in the air.
The one where he does a front flip, and
that was when Beeman does the front flip and stuff. And you even get the first person camera view of that. I love that they cut to that moment to give you what it would feel like to actually do that.
Yeah.
I'm like, that's the thing is like this. You could definitely like if you were to start picking at the nits and stuff and have it. If we were in a bad mood or wanted to make fun of this movie, you could make fun of this movie. But actually, what I'm doing is like, you know what? Swinging for the fences in every moment, in every shot, in every bit of lighting, in every camera placement, in every little bit of editing and flair. This movie goes, should we play it safe? Fuck it, no.
Nope.
Let's just get big old swinging dicks literally while they're all meeting Cameron Diaz. There's a lot of penises in this movie.
But not enough.
Oh, a lot, yeah. I mean, again, yeah. I mean, so funny. This movie, go ahead.
No, I was saying like, yeah, this movie is 2.5 hours, but at time, like I feel like this movie took me 6 hours to watch for some reason, but it's still paced like super well. But Will, like you said, they're throwing so much at you so quickly that you can't catch up. Like you're the Cap Rooney in this movie, and Willie Beeman is miles ahead.
It's a little bit like Clockwork Orange, that you're just like your eyes are just it's an assault on your senses.
Yeah,
and
it's so much, but like, you know, as much as I like, because I've criticized like Oliver Stone's filmmaking before, and not everything he does really works for me. I think he can be very, very self-indulgent, and but like with this, one thing I'll say about him is always he's very, very sound on the structure of the stories. He's like, his dialogue is silly sometimes, but the way his stories are structured are really, really solid, and that's like throughout his entire career. Going back to like even when he was like writing the first Conan movie, it's structured really, really well, which kind of saves that movie from being like, you know, kind of B movie trash. It's like, oh, this acts like an actual film, and even though this movie is doing crazy things at all times, you never feel like he's lost control of the narrative. That it's like, you know, that you're off the rails. It's just so nutty what you're looking at. But
yeah, it could have easily just, I don't know, just been confused. It could have been like a Michael Bay Transformers movie of just like bah, 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 just so much noise and so much action. But it's like, because I mean, for me, I love part of this. I mentioned it earlier, but the number of needle drops in this movie and the number of
that Bill Withers song gets me.
I swear I get it from, and every time I hear that song, I'm always thinking about.
Always think of this. Yep. And now it's so overused in like movies use that song in a very similar kind of like movie setting, like or like emotional set piece in a film. But I always go back to think of it from this.
But it's like, you know, if it's Fatboy Slim to then it's DMX to then it's like, you know, Bill Withers to all this, it just bounces around, and it's like, but it all kind of works. I mean, like the first 20 minutes is just so frenetic. It's that first game, and there's so much. Like, all right, next play, next song that you recognize. Next play, next song. All right, 20-second shot of the football. Like we're saying, it's just like, wow, this movie's bonkers. I could actually do the whole episode just talking about this movie, especially because like Will, never seeing it before. I'm like, because this was, I think it's a very 1999 movie. You know,
I think this movie invented early 2000s movies, because like watching this, I'm like, I've seen so many movies that were made after this that tried to mimic this style and just failed horribly.
A lot of like commercials too. I think Nike took a lot of like this style and put it into their NFL commercials, which are fucking fantastic. I think David Fincher did one with the Eagles that was unbelievable. It's all like one continuous shot, super cool. But this has like such an iconic visual style to it. Like we were saying, like movies just don't fucking look like this anymore.
No,
they don't have this character to them. These extra layers. Because it feels overindulgent, like you're saying.
I mean, like a movie sort of similar but not, which kind of shows that it could just be shot in a basic way. And don't get me wrong, I like this movie, as does my missus, but it's Keanu Reeves in The Replacements.
I like that movie.
We almost picked that.
Yeah, it's a good movie. But like when you get into how it's shot conventionally. You know, it's just the football still looks good and stuff like that. There's the huddles and things, you know. But it's like, it's just shot like a football movie. Whereas this one is not shot. I think the closest I think we're agreeing is it's shot like a music video that's 2.5 hours long.
Yeah, you know? That's spot on. Yeah.
You know, that level of we're gonna go for it in every moment. You know, that's why commercials look so good, because they've only got 30 seconds to make their point and make it look amazing. In this case, they go, well, let's take that 30 seconds and make it 2.5 hours. Okay, we do it.
More dicks, as long as you go, more old ladies.
Yes. I mean, as long as you go into a movie with that in mind, like we're gonna do a 2.5 hour music video, I think you can execute it well. It's only when it's like something like Suicide Squad, the first one they did, where they decided to do that kind of editing after the fact, that can screw up an entire film.
Yeah, because there are other people that do these 2.5 hour, like, you know, music videos, and they just don't work. You know, and I think it goes back to what you said, Will, of that Oliver Stone does have control over his narrative structure, while at the same time adding in all of this flair.
Yeah.
It's like interesting if Wall Street was shot like this.
Oh my God. Yeah. I mean, you know, it's like like Joel Schumacher always said, nobody ever paid for under the top. So you got to go over the top.
That's a great line.
I think about it all the time.
That's
now.
great.
I'm like, man, he's right. He's 100% right.
This movie it reminds me of like Casino, but football. You know, it's like, it's got all of these pieces that fit together, and you've got the music and the style. Like,
now it makes sense why Joel Schumacher put nipples on the bat suit, because you know, because they're usually they're under the, you know, under the shirt. So we're going to put them
Over the top. Over the top. Much
they're
like
usually under the top. You're wearing the top as they're under them. We will go over the top and we will put the nipples outside of the top.
That's right. Here's our 2-hour defense of the Batman and Robin movie. Here we go. No. Nope. No, never mind. No, it's still
a good Gotham.
Movie, but...
You had a good Gotham. I really
Batman Forever is good, but yeah.
we'll move on from Batman and Robin.
Yes. Or we'll be here all night.
Yeah, we would be here all night. I mean, honestly, watching this movie feels like you're there all night, but I loved it. I enjoyed it.
Another thing this movie does capture really well is like you really feel like you're in the shoes of, every single character that's on screen, whether it's like Pacino really going through this, he's in his twilight years in his career and he's drinking, or Miss Pagliacci's mom, and who's just a fucking Looney Tunes alcoholic. It's just letting her dogs piss everywhere and then picking them up and just handing them off. To Elizabeth Berkley just being a hooker, and he's like, hey, why don't you go out with me? And she's like, no, man, I'm good. Yeah. And then he'd like tenaciously rip up this card, and then you see him like piece it back together to call her.
Yeah, tape it and just try to piece the number together.
Yeah, that's like, because you couldn't delete people from cell phones, you just had to rip up their business card and they would just vanish into the ether.
So Will, would you say you liked this movie?
Oh yeah, no, I enjoyed the hell out of this movie. I thought it was a lot of fun. I thought it was crazy. Yeah, no, I'm really glad I saw this. There's definitely loony parts about it, but it's not like I wasn't like, oh, this sucks. Like I said, my complaints are like really minor. I was gonna say the eye thing. I think just the guy losing his eye in the movie might have been a bit too far for me, because we live in a world like post Damar Hamlin where like he got hit last year and his heart stopped, and this was a Buffalo Bills game last year, and he was a Bills player, and they hit him in just the right spot. He got down and he was kind of clinically dead for a period of time before they were able to like revive him. And they just called the game off. They're like, the guys can't go back on the field, and like that is just too much. Somebody losing an eye, and then they're like, all right, just get back out there. I'm like, sorry, I'm from the future. I know that doesn't.
Well, you're from the future where that doesn't. I mean, you go back 25 years, people would die in races, and they go, keep going. Like,
well, sure, but like up to Damar Hamlin, like the worst injury in football was, and I should have looked up the player's name, but it was a football player whose leg literally snapped in the wrong direction.
I hate that.
And that was the worst. It's horrible to watch.
Yeah,
but the guy didn't lose the limb. He wasn't, it wasn't anything like that. So I imagine if somebody loses their eye, it's more serious than like, all right, get back out there.
But then picking up that gooey eyeball, putting it into a bag, and then cutting to Oliver Stone with the funniest line read.
He places some damage to his eye.
Yeah. You think?
When the player like gets up with his helmet off and he's just like missing, just like fucking insane. It's crazy.
Yeah,
and I like a broken finger or something.
But don't forget, you also get that bit where it's like you're saying, one thing Oliver Stone is not subtle. That it's cutting to the eye symbol for one of the teams.
Cool.
Eyeball. It's like,
you guys get it? Yeah.
Don't watch this movie if you have epilepsy.
No. Oh my God.
I believe it will give you epilepsy, actually.
Hell yeah.
If you watch this movie. Whereas this next movie might give you diabetes. It's so sweet. We're gonna, like I said, I could talk about Any Given Sunday a lot, but we got two other movies to get to. Let's talk about Little Giants, which for me was a first time watch. Now, Will, had you seen this one?
Nope.
Really?
This was also a first time watch. I think I had seen bits of it.
Yeah.
I had definitely seen the Bruce Smith part in Isolation, because Bruce Smith is my favorite football player of all time. Defensive end for the Buffalo Bills, all-time career sack leader, record which will never be broken.
Ryan and I
Yeah, no.
You had me at sack
I had
leader.
Jersey as a kid. I like what's up?
So you had me at sack leader.
Heyo. Yeah, Bruce Smith, my favorite football player of all time.
John Madden's in this movie, right?
Yeah, whatever. What has he ever done? He made a fake animal to eat, a turducken. Like, oh, big deal. Bruce Smith, more career sacks than anyone else. That's an accomplishment.
Hell yeah.
If you want to find out more, you can listen to Will's podcast, Will the Bill, The Bills with Will.
The Buffalo Wills.
I just talk about the late 80s, early 90s Bills and how sad I am that we lost 4 years in a row. Every episode is 9 hours long.
Most of it's crying.
Daily. Yeah.
But like, you know, the movie, like we're saying, famously inspired by a superb owl commercial that works. This movie works.
It's so sweet. It's so sweet.
I dig this movie. Like, it's got one of, you know, everybody.
I do have one problem with this movie that we'll get to later.
Not enough.
You hate Rick Moranis. We understand.
No.
You're like, I just want that man out of show business forever. And man, you got your wish. Wow.
Like, was it Devin Sawa? Young Devin Sawa in this movie?
Yes.
Yeah. Yes. I forgot who that was. I saw him on screen. I'm like, is that the kid from Casper?
I recognize the voice. Yeah, I think he was like 15, so he was just towering over everyone in this movie.
Yeah.
Like, this movie is like a who's who of like young, just kids that were in things, you know. It's great. But fucking Rick Moranis, I think this was his second to last movie before he retired from acting, right?
Yeah, because his wife had just recently died a few years before. That's actually a little thing. That's why in the movie they changed the script that his wife left him.
Yeah, I thought that was strange. I was like, wait, what?
Who would leave Rick Moranis?
Yeah,
right.
And I will say, like, so this movie, it starts off when it's him and his brother are young, like very young kids going to play football, right? And you know, his brother's this tremendous athlete, and he's picking the players to be in the team, and he doesn't pick his own brother, so he goes to become a car mechanic. But he sees a girl that he flirts with, and then later that girl is super horny for him.
Yeah, like she has remembered him for 30 years.
They live down the street from one another in this tiny town. It's crazy, but my God.
She never needed her car fixed. The brother ends played by Ed O'Neill, who goes on to be a character that wins the Heisman Trophy, becomes a star. He's like all-American. He's like the hero of the town. Like at the beginning of the movie, they say one day our names are both going to be up there. We cut to the future, and it's just the famous brother's name up there, and he's like the king of the town.
And doing some tremendous gum work in this movie.
Yes.
I mean, he's chewing on gum in every single scene. It was a wild choice, but like just obnoxious, like cow cud chewing on gum. It's crazy.
Yeah, he did. His gum work was very good. I'm going to give you that, because chewing gum can really annoy me. Like some people can do it, but like he's just doing the whole, you're gonna do it. Are you gonna do it? Huh? We're gonna go out.
It really is like a great part of that character. And another thing I love that they do about this movie, again, it's so sweet. Like it would have been very typical for him to be like a complete dick. Yeah. The entire time, like really lean into it.
Yeah.
But he's actually a really sweet and endearing. Like he's got that camaraderie. Like the only person that hates him is his own wife. She fucking hates him.
She does give him a little shit.
But he has this, the scenes with his niece, because it starts, she's trying out for his team, the Cowboys, boo, and like she's the best player, and he doesn't pick her because she's a girl. And,
that's like his only sort of like character flaw, because he is a good uncle, even at the point where he does encourage her to become a cheerleader, but not because he doesn't want her in the game. He's more just like, well, this is what you want. Is this what you want? Because she's like, and I like her whole thing about like, well, I'm icebox. I don't like boys.
Yeah.
I think her character is, this whole movie, I think is great. I think it does a lot of it does a lot of things. Like we've talked about other things, like Remember the Titans, movies that are just hitting all of this stuff. This one doesn't. You know what I mean? I know the point I'm trying to say is that instead of going the cliche route, it sets up some cliches, but actually fleshes out the character and gives them some real things, real moments.
It doesn't hit you over the head with it, but you get all of those notes. Like you get the kid, like every single one of these kids has something. Like you have the kid was born like fucking 6 weeks premature or something.
A pound.
1 pound.
Yeah, and then you get like the kids that were picked on. You get the nerdy kid that's really playing chess, and you get the kid with his father. Ollie, we know you're gonna cry. Yes, if you're another Ollie cries movie.
Yeah, it is. It's an Ollie cries movie.
At the end of that, it's really fucking sweet.
It is. It bloody well is. And it's like
every kid gets their time too. Like every kid, no one's
that's
left
what
out.
I mean, is that they give all of like the halftime speech that Rick Moranis gives, also based off a real speech. No, I'm kidding. But, like, he gives that sort of speech, and it's kind of like, just think about all those little moments, that the reason that you are you and you were able to achieve something.
It's so sweet.
Who you are.
Yeah.
And like I said, that they go out, and spoiler alert, when they win the game kind of thing. But like I said, it wasn't through any sort of like, if you go back to like Revenge of the Nerds, that they win the drinking contest because they're taking drugs that prevent alcohol from affecting them, so they're cheating. In this, they don't cheat anybody. They just believe in themselves, and they go out and they win the game.
And that's just it. The whole time it's leading up, like, they're this ragtag bunch that at certain points only have like one good player. Like they have Icebox, she's great. And then they bring on Junior, who's great, who's got a fucking arm like a cannon, and then for a brief stint they get Spike, who's the most insane character. Like this kid's like 25
third person.
Which is crazy. Then a real asshole, and so is his father.
He's pretty much a feral animal who's been trained to do nothing but football.
Right. But then in that one moment where so the asshole dad gets Spike to spear tackle Junior, Ed O'Neill's character is like,
we don't
you ever do that again? Like, don't you ever? Like, that's what I mean, is like, instead of Ed O'Neill's, it was just sort of a bit of rivalry between brothers. Like, Ryan, you like to joke that the stakes couldn't be any lower. In this one, it's a high stakes small movie, because it really is. It's just like, because what I like is that the two old guys who are just like, yeah, you should do it. Because they're like, it's a small town. They're like, fuck it, it'd be funny. Let's see if these two guys have a game. We'll make a day of it.
I love those old guys. Like those old guys were cracking me up through. I always wish we could see more of them, because I just love their scheming of like, they're both like independently calling the brothers to be like, hey, there's this player in town. They're
in the same room.
It almost feels like
laughing about it.
It feels like a sequel where those guys were in the first movie. They had their own.
It's like Randolph and Mortimer Duke.
Yes. Exactly.
I also love Ed O'Neill's car dealership partner, who's just a fucking complete buffoon. Is there anything you want me to do? He's like, why don't you try to sell some cars?
Yeah, you want to impress me today? Sell a car.
Drives off in his Corvette. Get some great go-kart driving. This is a fun time. I like this movie.
Yeah, that's the bit. You're right. It's the go-kart bit where like the dickhead players turn up to bully our players because they didn't get in the team. But then Icebox rocks up in her go-kart and just messes up those three bullies. That's when I was like, I really like this movie. I'm enjoying the shit out of it. It's like
she skids out and shoots the mud in his face.
Yeah. And I was like and I thought like that young lady, was it Shauna Waldron? She's fantastic. I thought she was so good as Icebox. I think, but what also she gave is like, one, a believability of being good at football. Like she played it pretty well. But two, even her annoyance of the fact that she's like getting all swoony for the pretty boy.
I don't like boys. I'm the Icebox.
Yeah, but their little teen thing was really sweet.
Yeah,
like watching it in the movie, it was a really nice.
They're watching the couple kiss on the boat. And,
right? And she's like, "Yeah, gross, right? I mean, like, unless you wanted to practice, I mean, right? But no, I mean, I don't want to do that unless you want to, right?
My question. So, Junior is the son of the female love interest of Rick Moranis, right? What happens when they inevitably get together?
That's the exact thought I had. I was
what
like,
the fuck is going to happen there? Like,
this is going to lead to problems later.
Yeah.
Well, I'm here to tell you, it's okay. It all worked out. Junior dies and becomes Casper, so don't worry. It just, everything worked out perfectly.
Yeah, that spear tackle that he received actually it's internal bleeding. He actually dies just after. There was an Oliver Stone style 10-minute epilogue that happens after the end of this movie.
It's just him slowly dying in a hospital. Yeah. So don't worry, it had a happy ending.
So see, at least he doesn't get my girl and get stung by bees.
The twist in that movie though, in My Girl, is that the bees came from the beekeeper that Jason Statham. That's what he. Not to spoil the beekeeper for anyone.
No one's taking my honey. You stay away from my bees.
You listen up and you listen hard, bucko. But yeah, I was thinking of that. I'm like, wait, because they kind of get together at the end, but like that kind of messes up the relationship with his daughter and Junior. Because what?
It'll be fine. Don't worry about it. We just had 3 weeks of incest movies because we were in Appalachia. We're all good.
But not enough.
So the stakes that we were saying that couldn't be any lower, but are also quite high, is essentially that the unchosen team, so the little kids, the kids that like the prematurely born kid, the kid that can't run, the kid that can't catch, and the girl, She goes to her dad, Rick Moranis, and basically says, start a team and we're all going to join. And I love that bit I was thinking about Ryan the entire time, but as they put the team together around town, that shot where they're walking along the railway,
so good.
And all of the new characters start joining.
Yeah.
They were very efficient about, in the space of 6 minutes, just putting that team together.
Yeah.
I just love
it's a small town, dude. Like they only have one team.
It's just at one point, I just love that the kids are just walking by and they see the kid sitting on the stoop by himself. Want to be on the team? Yeah. Then he just joins it. That's it. No explanation. He shows no skill whatsoever. Just want to be on the team? Yeah.
Well, see, there you go. Because that is the point. Is because Pee Wee rules are one town, one team. But now they have formed two teams, so the old dudes manipulate the two brothers into creating a playoff game for the whole town to enjoy, and whichever team wins will become the Pee Wee team, essentially. So there we go. That is the breakdown. That is the boil down. That's how it's going. But it's also got sort of like the young brother, Rick Moranis, kind of proving to his older brother that I'm not afraid of you. You might be the Heisman Trophy winning like football god of the town, but I'm sticking up for the little guy just because. Because.
And does it so well. He's so great in this movie. He's so sweet. Like, and we say this all the time. We miss seeing him in movies. Rick, if you're listening, come on back.
Yeah, he's America's dad. We miss America's dad. You know, we've got Tom Hanks, but we also miss our fun dad, Rick Moranis. But he is, like I said, it's a very sort of like, he just encourages the kids. And what I also like is that bit, and like, you know, if you guys ever have kids, you'll feel this kind of thing, but it's like, you know, you just want your kids to have a good time and have fun. And that's that really fun little bit where he's introducing all the team. You know, and they've got all the parents over.
Oh, that's so cute.
And so it's the parents just seeing their kids getting out and taking part, or being there, or being part of a unit, and just like, and taking part. You know, they're always there. They're the moving goalposts.
Yeah.
You know, for the kid that's like, you know, kicking and stuff like that. And it's just filled with a lot of heart. This movie.
It does, yeah.
You know, as it's going, I really realize why it seems to be a movie that a lot of people, they go, oh, Little Giants. You know, everyone says, oh, look, it's kind of like the kids' Rudy, I guess. In a way, it's like it's fun, it's innocent, and then you get that sort of like, I was so surprised by the twist, you know, because they're doing their best as far as training, and then a bus breaks down,
and much like Any Given Sunday, this movie takes place over the span of 1 week.
Yeah.
Like it's the following Saturday.
It's about
Pretty
2.5 weeks.
Crazy.
Yeah. It's about 2.5 weeks. But then John Madden, Emmett Smith, Bruce Smith, Tim Brown, Steve Empton, that's an interesting name. But I recognized John Madden. I also recognized Emmett Smith. But I'm watching this going, oh, Will's going to lose his fucking mind.
You're welcome, buddy.
Yeah, I was so happy. I was like, oh, that's because I'd seen like I said, the Bruce Smith scene by itself. I was like, oh, it's from this movie. That's awesome. So I was stoked.
I like the bit where
like
John
how they
Madden's
interact
like,
with the kids. Yeah,
he got the map out and he's like, "Oh, we're trying to get up here. We're gonna bring it around.
We gotta go this way."
Well, it's true because he famously never flies. He would always take his bus everywhere. So I think
that's true.
Right?
I was reading about that too, but I thought that was kind of like that fun little thing because I guess, you know, I mean, I was kind of wondering how they got the Giants logo in this movie title.
Yeah, there's a lot.
I was like, well, how did they do that? I mean, Oliver Stone couldn't get it, but hey, man, if you want a kids movie,
Oliver Stone didn't have Rick fucking Moranis.
Exactly. If Rick Moranis had been in the role that Robert De Niro was playing.
Wait a minute.
So yeah, I mean, the NFL read Oliver Stone's script and just straight told him no.
Yeah.
So
this
is like impossible to hate. Like Little Giants, it's like, oh, well, this is just the sweetest thing
much
ever.
So that the Giants actually adopted their alternate colors.
I read that. Yeah. The red shirt. The Giants used that for a few seasons, and I'm like, oh, come on. Yeah. That's bloody adorable, that is. So yeah, no, Will, anything else that that surprised you?
No, it was just a super sweet film. I will say there was a little bit of the feeling of like maybe this movie was made pretty quick. I don't know. There was something about it where I was like, this feels like a lot of like one takes and then moving on, not in a bad way. But there was just something about the performances and stuff where I'm like, I don't feel like they're spending a lot of time like worrying about the performances, but given the type of movie it is, and how much fun and how cute it is, it probably just didn't need more than like one or two takes. I mean, honestly, it seemed like everyone was having a great time.
Yeah. it's hard working with children when it's a movie entirely of children, right? And then you got to get these kids to then play football on camera. I imagine there's a lot of moving parts to making this movie work, and it works pretty well. Like I said, so it gets into it is that Dwayne Dunham was removed as the director about 2/3 of the way through to try and, so basically because they were falling behind. So I mean that kind of fits with your read on the movie, Will, is that they were like, it wasn't quite getting there as quick. Like I said, the guy's famously an editor. I think this is like it's either his first or second movie. But it's like that tracks kind of with your observation of it. I go, that makes sense. Because also it's a very contained movie.
Yeah.
It just takes place at a couple of people's houses, at like a car lot where the kids are training.
A cafe. It's very small,
And then
you get that incredible scene of Ed O'Neill charging past his wife through the window, rolling onto the roof, falling onto a tree branch, crushing his nuts, and then falling into a swimming pool.
Yeah. I liked that.
Yeah, great.
That was funny.
And then it cuts to them rewatching that after and all. It's like, but they're also sweet. Like it's his whole family together, like watching, and he's just like,
Yeah,
he's like he's not a dick about it in any way.
No,
like,
and his missus does give him a hard time as well, and like she's supporting the other team for just like, look, why not? They're trying. They won. Who gives a shit? It's like I love it. Like it's the, we've talked about the stakes a couple of times, but it's just the sweetest stakes, isn't it? Yeah. It's just. It's kind of like the Ted Lasso and stakes of the bad guys not believing in yourself, and being the best you can be. True. That is fundamentally it. That is what this movie is about. It sticks up for the little guy, but once it's and I also like that at the halftime point they are getting their asses kicked.
Oh yeah,
they're like 21.
There's like 10 kids trying to tackle Spike. Then the quarterback gets injured. But I love that they come together as a team, and like every kid gets their due and gets their part and does their thing, and it just makes it work. The kid who can't catch, his name is Hot Hands. That's great. He can only catch rolls of toilet paper.
Yeah, so that bit where the football suddenly becomes, and I saw it coming before it happened. I go, oh, it's going to turn into a toilet roll, isn't it? And it's spiraling. I was like, that was a funny bit. I like the bit, when Spike comes out and hurts Junior and it pisses off Icebox. And I love that Icebox has just got this legend around town, like, don't fuck with her.
They couldn't have picked a better name for her.
I love it. It works. But then, so she goes and she gets kitted up, but she comes out in her skirt. And I like that. I like that they didn't make her dress like a boy to play. She just comes out in a skirt and kicks their asses. And I'm like, cool. I dig this. I dig that, like I said, I'm going back to what I was saying, that like, instead of it being a movie about a girl that wants to play football, or instead of it being a movie about a premature kid, or a movie about a bigger kid that wants to, or a movie about this kid or that kid, it's just, they are those kids, but it's not what it's about. You know what I mean? Yeah. It's like, it's just, at all points, it avoids going down the easy route. And it kind of just stays as this ensemble moving forwards. Believe in yourself, believe in yourself, believe in yourself.
Well, it's about Rick Moranis getting pussy. That's what this movie's about.
Yes. Which all good movies are about.
Let's not get carried away here. It's one thing to put together a team, but he's trying to get. He's been, he's a single dad. He's trying to get some. He's trying he will inadvertently ruin his daughter's life by hooking up with the mother of the boy that she's into. So
it's all right. They'll have a bunk bed. It'll be fine. I like the bit when they knock on the door and Rick Moranis is trying to hide.
Great physical comedy.
Yeah. He's trying to press himself up against the wall, and she's like, "Hey, man."
And it's her because she still has the locket.
It's got that same.
But he's like, "You look exactly the same. I haven't seen you since whatever the time went by." I'm like, "That's fucking crazy, man."
I also like that we have. We often talk about Chekhov's this, that, and the other. The whole concept of Chekhov's gun, which is you show a gun earlier in the movie that better get used, kind of thing. In this case, it's Chekhov's annexation of Puerto Rico. Which this little,
which is what Chekhov had envisioned originally.
That was it. We've all seen it in this famous filmmaking books, Chapter 1. Chekhov's,
and that's the play where that's the play where they put the ball down and fake, right?
That's the Fumblerooskie. So that's based off Tom Osborne's apparently famous Fumblerooskie, which is actually what you hear Ed O'Neill shout out. Like, so as that's what I was wondering what that was. I go, why is he saying that? But it's him being, because he's a football player, he knows the play, he recognizes what's going on. And it was like,
I thought was the play that he had done too. That was like,
I think that's how they do it, right? They reference
Mhm.
that's how Ed O'Neill won that championship game or something.
Because
like that.
like you see him, he's like, they know the play. They know the play, or they're doing something different. Like that
Oh,
was
that's
his
right.
turning
No, no,
point
no.
where he realizes, right?
That's right. They realize that his play that they're going for the touchdown, they know what he's going for because that's what he did in his championship game. And then they use the Fumblerooskie and they get the 99-yard. And I love that bit as well. It's like the kid like going, I'm going to score a touchdown. I'm going to score. No, you're not.
No, you're
and
not.
it's like, you get all those moments. For me,
they
said,
lateral the ball to every player.
Everybody gets involved. I love it. But the little kid, like the kid whose dad is always working. And like I said, I got this all through context with no sound on a treadmill in Thailand. And the bit of that little fucking kid runs through the whole team to hug his dad. I'm crying my eyes out on this treadmill, missing my son at the time because he'd just been born he's only about 2 years old. And I'm just like, I was a mess.
It's crazy to think, you watch this movie, like, what year was this? Was this also 94?
94, yes.
Right, yeah. So I watched this, I was like about the age of those kids, or at least Devin, I was maybe, I don't remember. But now you watch it and you're like older, you're like, oh, I'm rooting for Rick Moranis' character now. Like, or Will, you're rooting for Ed O'Neill's character, whatever.
Absolutely, the hero of the movie. The one thing I'll say about the kids and like all the football playing in this movie is when they caught the ball, they at least all tucked it, like, had it tucked away under their arms. That I just remembered that annoyed me in Any Given Sunday. There were so many times where they were just running with the ball out here, and I'm like, what are you psychopaths doing? Like, oh my god, drove me nuts.
Cameron Diaz called that out. You showboat. What is he doing?
Yep. So good on the kids in this
doesn't
movie.
miss a beat. Yeah.
So, but this again, like this, I already know what you're going to say, but you would recommend this movie, wouldn't you? Will? This is a great watch.
Yeah,
that's good.
100%.
I think
it's quick too. I think it's slightly longer than Ace Ventura, I think.
Yeah, Ace Ventura is an 82-minute movie or something like that. This is
flawless.
This is basically a 90-minute movie.
I had this movie for dessert. I took down Any Given Sunday, then Ace Ventura, then this one.
Ooh, I did it Any Given Sunday first. You got to get that out of the way.
Yeah.
Then it was Little Giants, and it was Ace Ventura last night, and I realized laughing my ass off with Ace Ventura.
I did the complete reverse. I did Ace Ventura first. So
you went cocaine fueled, like just garishly funny, and then sweet and endearing. Got it.
It's a great. I mean, if you got family, I mean, Little Giants is that movie to sit down and watch. It's
very Disney adjacent.
Yeah. It's good.
Exactly.
People learn lessons, and it finishes off, and it's like, it's kind of fun because the stakes get raised where the two brothers are shit talking, but the mic's still there, so everybody can hear them as they kind of up their bets, and it's like they bet the car dealership against the garage kind of stuff. But once it's all said and done at the end of the movie, and I like as well, this is the little thing that the only dick in this whole movie is Spike, and when the other team wins, what is the first thing Spike does?
Shakes their hands.
He claps.
Oh yeah, that's right.
He gets the other team. He gets the rest of his team. Like, no, they won. Give them their dues. So even the dick in the movie has his little redemption moment.
Well, they don't show him getting home and having his father beat the living shit out of him. That kid is institutionalized now for murdering his father.
Well then that kid and Spike and his dad, then they moved to Texas where they joined. They're part of Friday Night Lights, and that's the dad.
That's 100%.
Yeah. Storm the Capitol. Sure.
Allegedly, they haven't caught him yet.
Spike definitely stormed the Capitol. But at the end of the movie,
the bit where Spike is doing the pull-ups on his
dad's arm.
Right.
Just get in there. 1, 2, 3.
That kid is so tall. Is just like
he's just trying.
I just love Rick Moranis in that scene. Just literally like,
that was such a good little ploy. Like they get the hot tip that this like new player is in town, and they're both racing to recruit him.
The race to get him.
Yeah, and Rick Moranis gets there first, and he's like, "Oh, you're O'Shea," and he's like, "You're that coach." He goes,
"Yes, I am Coach O'Shea.
I am Coach O'Shea. Yeah,
as long as you have no follow-up questions, yes."
I like that bit where again. So the two old guys, if you haven't seen the movie, tell each of the brothers at the same time, "Oh, there's this new kid in town, and he's looking to get into football." And you kind of get that fun moment where the two brothers kind of pull up next to each other at the stoplight, and they're like, "Oh, what are you up to?" "Oh, yeah, nothing." And they keep driving and go, "Are you following me?" And then the penny drops, and suddenly it's like a race. And then you see the two old guys sitting out. Oh, there they go! They're such shit stirrers. These two guys, they got nothing better to do
awesome.
to manipulate the town for their own entertainment.
I do wish there was a bit more pranky, like tomfoolery in this, because you really only like there's that scene. There's the scene where Ed O'Neill and his partner are like spying on the kids because
oh yeah,
they get. Is that when they? I forget if that's when they have Spike or that's when they just get the new quarterback.
They haven't got him. They call the state police.
Okay,
and they get the kid to start crying.
Oh my! The Rick Moranis doing this like I'm an 80-year-old woman and there's two men and
watching these boys.
Insane prank. He calls the state police because they all know it, or right?
That's how you can tell it's not a Disney movie. That would not exist in a Disney film. So.
And just in the back lot.
Yeah, right. Ed O'Neill's sort of thing was like, well played.
Yeah. There's no bad blood. Like these brothers love each other. It's such a great rivalry that we would say the stakes aren't high, but the emotional stakes are there. Like they really, he just wants his brother's approval, and then he finally gets it.
Yeah, and then at the end, they wrap it up with a nice bow. They go, look, your team can come and join our team. He's like, he has a bit of there'll always be a place for you at my car dealership. And then you just get that nice final shot, the most Disney moment of it all. Got Homer, the O'Shea brothers, the end credits roll.
Yeah,
and it's like, well done, good movie. Well executed, well done, love it.
I was hoping there was going to be a 30-minute press conference after that.
That's exactly where I was going.
Where Ed O'Neill quits the Dallas Pee Wee team and moves to New Mexico. Spike.
We're gonna win the PV championship. That's the sequel. Bigger Giants.
Everyone just mouthing motherfucker. That would be great. Yeah, it's
but there is one more movie that features some football. But what football it does feature is essential to the plot. And it is an 80-minute movie that has 80 jokes a minute.
The fucking balls on this movie.
We've got to get into it. Let's talk about Ace Ventura. Like I said, all right, look, we have addressed
minute.
Yeah. We have addressed the fact that yes, the 90s, the mid-90s, there was this element of homophobia. I mean, we even like watching the original Bill and Ted, the bit where they hug each other and they jump apart, call each other the F slur. They ask for a cigarette in England. But like, it's okay. We can all accept that it's a product of its time. We can also all accept that it is fucking hilarious movie.
Yeah.
Outside of that, it is hilarious. And even like, we're watching it last night and even Mrs. is watching it and it gets to that part, she goes, it's not even that bad. It's just,
well, it's just not in good taste anymore.
It's exactly. It's not like, oh, it's terrible, it's bad, throwing stones or anything.
Yeah, you just kind of feel like you don't feel great for laughing at it. Yeah.
That's the only thing. Like the bit where everyone's spitting, but even then, and they're playing the crying game for Christ's sake.
Yeah.
The fact that like the only two major sort of instances of trans people in movies is kind of like the evil person. It's like, all right.
Yeah. Representation not great in the early 90s.
Let's get
but when you get to like Naked Gun 33 1/3, it's hilarious. Because you get the silhouette of the elf shape. I was too young to understand what the fuck that was, and I'm still too young.
Still too young, yeah.
And then Nicole Smith as a dick. What?
And the sound effect as well.
That's what killed her husband.
Wrecked him and damn near killed him. What are you gonna say?
But like, Ace Ventura comes out of the gate in fucking fifth gear and never lets up. And it is so much on like, I was reading into it that like, because I forgot just how much of a character Ace Ventura is. He doesn't talk like a normal person. And that's like, that came from stand-up that the director saw and that Jim Carrey was like, from a character called Overly Confident Gay Man is the character where the voice comes from. And then he deliberately was like, oh, alrighty then, with things he was trying to throw in to make a thing. I mean, that's how people, our buddy Adam from Right This Minute, he's like a walking Jim Carrey at times. He does quotes, he walks like Jim Carrey. He absorbed Jim Carrey as a younger guy and has taken that through his life, much like I did.
No, we all did. Like this, he was such an important character. Like again, it's like, it's him, it's Austin Powers. It's like these movies that come out and just destroy or just have us in this like comedy grip for so long. And then you kind of grow up and you peter out of it. And that's why I was worried that this wouldn't hold up, but it just transported me back to 1994, doing all these faces and all these voices and all these quotes and talking out of your asshole.
Well, I also realized that upon watching this again, so it's been a long time for me as well, is one, how this is kind of a Bond movie. You've got like even his opening scene.
You say that about every movie.
Yeah, but this the opening scene up into him even getting like a blowjob is all Bond, and it's like
he's got the line where he's like "Lovely Party," right?
Yeah, exactly. Like he's got the but also that he is a cartoon character made real in the real world. He is he acts like a cartoon. He catches bullets in his fucking mouth.
Didn't they have an Ace Ventura cartoon, right?
They did, and it had a video.
Oh, they did, yeah.
But this of course came first. But it's is that he is, if you watch the movie, that he is just a cartoon character, but he's just not animated. The whole movie makes sense. The way he drives, the way he parks, the way he talks, walks. Yeah. But on top of that is that he's also exceptionally good at his job.
Yeah.
You know, he's not a bumbling idiot. He is James Bond. He's just the James Bond of cartoon character pet detectives in fucking Miami.
But also lives maybe one of the most disgusting lives ever fucking imaginable. That how he gets Courtney Cox back to his apartment to fuck her is crazy to me.
Because all the animals watching.
I could only think of like
the smell.
First of all, the smell. The smell. You haven't thought of the smell, you bitch. But he has the landlord walk into his apartment. Because I understand he jingles the keys.
Yeah, 3 times.
Like, I'm like the lizard is gonna know. Like, oh shit, I gotta crawl back in the drawer. Great, I love the squirrels, everything. The doggy door in the refrigerator with the penguins coming out. They pan right past it. I'm like, oh, come on.
Right. Ventura. What's that actor's name?
Hector Salamanca.
That's all I know him at. Hector Salamanca. I know him from this movie.
Well, I said
so when he showed up on Breaking Bad, I was just like, oh, it's it.
He's Satan. Satan's great. But he's also in Scarface. He's the guy that when they want him to car bomb the family, he's the guy who's like, do it, Montana, and he's like, no.
But I saw this movie first, so he's always Satan, the landlord.
I like the way he also just like Ventura, just like the way he coughs. I mean, the thing is, Jim Carrey in every moment is being hilarious. Like the way he flinches at that and just kind of like quickly blinks, like it just at
every mannerism is perfect.
Yeah, my eyes are glued to everything Jim Carrey is doing.
Fucking
he's
rubber face king.
He's doing mime, he's doing physical comedy, he's doing just delivery, line deliveries, reactions, improvs, like the bit where he just randomly grabs the cellist as he's walking past. It's just
I'm curious how much of that was improv.
That was improv. I heard. Like a lot of it was improv. There was a lot of let Jim Carrey be Jim Carrey. And like even just him walking into a room, he doesn't walk like a normal person. He's doing all kinds of shit, and it's just.
Oh, he's doing the fucking Cannibal Corpse music. He's just like waltzing in.
Anytime I hear any hard rock music or any like thrash metal, I immediately just start like casually dancing like he does.
It's crazy how much of my DNA is all over this. It's all over the movie. How much of all over the place. DNA is
Jackson Pollock.
Jack off Pollock. Just how much of this movie?
That's much funnier.
How much of this movie's DNA is like burned into me? Still, like just seeing this movie is like awoken something. I watched this movie by myself, and I'm like laughing hysterically, like it's like I'm watching it for the first time. It's so fucking good.
And I was so afraid going into this movie because we all know I have a hard time, especially with big budget comedies. And a hard on. But these movies, like, and especially Jim Carrey, I have my feelings on. So I was so worried going into this movie. And then within seconds, I'm laughing again. And I'm just like, oh, thank God. This is still funny. Like just the amount of relief I felt. Like,
and then you immediately watched the second one and were like, oh no.
Yeah, the second one. Now, when I was a little kid, I remember I liked the second one way more. Like I was like, "Oh, the second one's great." Rewatching it now, it takes a while. It made me realize something that he's doing in this movie that he doesn't do in the second one, which is Ace Ventura is constantly like with somebody in this movie. Like he's constantly like when Ace Ventura is messing with people, it works. It's like incredible. when he's kind of isolated and by himself, it doesn't really work as
No.
well. There's just something weird about the opening of that second movie. It takes like 25 minutes before he gets to like the fancy rich party scene. And then the movie picks up, and then it's funny again.
I'll tell you why. It's because he's Bugs Bunny. He's
Yes.
like Bugs is great when he's fucking with Elmer Fudd.
You need that straight man to balance him out, right?
Yeah.
And so he's with Courtney Cox, and so it's constantly like people like Courtney Cox kind of like, can you bring it down? And of course he goes, oh, shall I bring it down? So of course he gets more extreme, and it just creates all these hilarious moments where Courtney Cox is embarrassed and we're just laughing at whatever Jim Carrey is doing. I think that's why I think the second one starts working once you put other people in there.
Yeah. Once you get to that, then the movie like picks up and it's like, okay, it's funny now.
The second one, they just give him the monkey for a little bit, right? Like,
which I always, as a kid, this is that kind of like how your memory works differently as a kid. I remember that monkey being throughout both movies, like just being like the monkey is Ace Ventura's partner.
Right.
I think
they do that in the cartoon. Like,
yes, that's probably where I got it from.
Right.
But
a more modern, like a young Ace Ventura with like a child actor.
Yeah, they did Ace Ventura Jr.
Yeah. Which is
a TV movie.
Why do I feel like it was the young kid from Speed Racer? I could be wrong. Doesn't matter.
Oh, you know what? I think I see. You know what? You might be right. You know what? I'm going to give that a quick Google.
It could be. I
don't know.
I remember
that vision in my head.
Yeah, like and the other thing about Jim Carrey doing Ace Ventura in this movie is I felt like the character of Ace Ventura is also having fun doing what he's doing. Like when he's like sneaking into like where he thinks like they're in that mansion and he's like sneaking into where he thinks the dolphin is, Snowflake the dolphin. I'm like, he's just having fun in this moment. Like the character himself is having fun. And I remember that felt like that was missing in the second movie.
So
I remember
very quickly, that kid who plays Ace Ventura Jr., Pet Detective, was not that kid. But he is in Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind. And a bunch of other movies, actually.
He was Kate Winslet, right?
Yeah, yes. Kate Winslet, incredible actress. Honestly, can play pretty much anything.
When you guys... Will, did you see this when it came out, like when you were younger?
Yeah. And in fact, my dad probably has he probably has PTSD from this movie.
She's talking out her ass.
I was doing that. I was quoting this movie. There are so many jokes in this movie I did not understand as a little 8-year-old that I would repeat constantly. And I'm positive my dad was like, shut up.
I remember,
you don't even know what you're saying.
When I was young, and my dad loved this movie too, still does. But I remember being absolutely terrified of like that shark scene. Like that was the reveal that it was like a shark in that tank, which is insane.
It's not Snowflake.
How the inky blackness of that
horrifying
water is quite. Even I was going, man, the tension of it looks like
it's
oil.
Crazy.
You can't see anything.
And now that I'm older, I know I'm expecting that. But what creeps me out even more is when he goes to Ray Finkel's house and seeing all that shit. Like this
becomes a David Fincher movie.
Yeah, this gets real dark.
It's very Silence of the Lambs.
Yeah.
Yes.
And actually, it was interesting. I was reading some stuff about that. Is that when Jim Carrey met Anthony Hopkins, and they were talking about how Jim Carrey and Anthony Hopkins based their characters' movements off animals. So Anthony Hopkins was a lizard, and so Ace Ventura is a bird, like a cockatiel. So that's why he's got the hair. That's why he's always wearing the bright colors. Like when he gets up to the camera and he's doing stuff like this.
Good.
That is a camera move that I stole and I used on all my TV shows, by the way, all the time. That I just connect with the camera and I'd be doing this shit all the time. It looks great in Ace Ventura. I'm like, I'm stealing that. I'm putting that in my TV.
So good.
It works.
God, that makes perfect sense. And now that like you look at that look that he cultivated now, or that he cultivated in that movie in 1994, now it's like every barista at a boutique coffee bar wears that. Like, it's just, like everyone that works at Urban Outfitters or Postino, like that's what they're wearing. The dope floral shirt. I wear them. I guess, right.
When this movie came out, this was another one. So I remember because it was just first year of boarding school. So one, you can go and I was boarding school, so do whatever you want. Two, it was like VHSs would go around the school like crazy. But it was the year of this. I remember watching it, The Mask, and all of us going, realizing, we're 14 years old and Cameron Diaz has been introduced into our lives, and we're like, holy cow, is she this is a real person?
Awuga personified.
Yeah, but that year of Jim Carrey just going from I have no idea who he is, to 2 minutes into this movie going all in, to then he's in The Mask, to then he's in Dumb and Dumber. It's, I mean, it's one of the all-time greatest ascensions of a movie star ever. A guy that was just pure TV and a pure supporting character in the television that he's doing. And by the end of that year, the guy's worth $12 million a movie. Yeah. It's pretty incredible.
If you told me that he filmed all 3 of those movies simultaneously, I would believe you. I would believe you.
Yeah.
Like if he went from set to set to set, I would be like, yeah, that makes sense.
I think one of my favorite set to set that makes sense stories, I think we talked about it on the podcast about 30 weeks ago. But it's Nick Cage
in Face Off and
going from Con Air to Face Off or whatever. Like, you know,
I don't know if that's true.
It is. No. They said it is literally, he went from the set of Con Air to Face Off, and the very first scene that they shot the very next day was the last scene of Face Off.
Jesus.
So like where he's playing John
that explains
Travolta,
the wig,
playing him. Yeah. But it's like that just that level of like just getting on a plane after doing that movie and going and doing this movie. I'm with you that I think Jim Carrey could have like the amount of energy that guy has at this time in his career is just like maximum, maximum Derek. Like for example, just he can find a joke in anything. Like I've already said that in the script, I'm sure it sort of says, Ace is bringing a box and it gets smashed up along the way. He finds 25 ways of doing that and making it funny. And it's the same way that like if he's walking in a corridor, he's making it funny. Like the bit I love is when he's making his way to the shark tank and you've got the Mission Impossible music playing. And he just for no reason goes over the railing. He slips, he grabs onto a thing he doesn't need to grab onto. He swings.
I love that. It's just great,
Comedic genius, bloody genius. That's just no
second only to like a Mr. Bean, but way more like intentional.
Well, the genius of Mr. Bean is doing the comedy without any speaking. Whereas Jim Carrey's doing that, but he's also doing the speaking comedy. He's also doing the slapstick comedy. He's bringing every element of comedy together. Even just sitting down and getting a briefing. Oh, I know, I can eat some sunflower seeds. It's like, oh, do you want an ashtray? No, that's
like. I love him tasting the grass and go.
I mean, the genius of this character, and I think it really is what makes this movie work, is like we said earlier, is he's really good at his job.
He's a great detective. Yeah.
Like, and I was just shocked on this rewatch where I was like, wow, this is like an actual like mystery detective. It's not just, we were talking about Me, Myself, and Irene, where the actual plot of that movie is impenetrable. You can't figure out like what's really going on, and it's not the focus. Here, they really did a good job of figuring out like, okay, here's the actual mystery. It's not that deep, it's not Knives Out, but it is a functional mystery. And Ace Ventura is really good at it.
Because you don't see it being Sean Young. The fact that it is a trans person is like, it didn't even enter your brain that it's there the entire time. Even like the gun is digging into your gun is digging into it. It's still fucking crazy. But it's like,
but you pointed out on her desk is a banana with 2 apples.
No, Ollie pointed that out.
Oh, shit, my bad.
I was like, wait a
I've never seen that before in my life.
Neither had I.
If you're listening at home and you watch this movie in 1904 and a billion times after that, if I've never caught that once before, that shit blew my mind.
I was watching with Mrs. and I'm like, that's why the picture is so blurry, because I was like, I've got to get you, come on camera, quick, I've got to get a picture of this. Because like, but yeah, so on Einhorn, on Lois Einhorn, Sean Young's desk, as he's sitting there talking to her, is 2 apples and a banana, just making a fucking dick, and it's like, and pointing at her, and I'm like going, I can't believe it's the same.
Chekhov's dick.
It's the Chekhov's dick, but it's the same thing that happened.
What Chekhov got in trouble for.
Like, liar, liar. The way that like it took.
I'm just in here checking off. Don't come in. I'm checking off.
Oh my God. Oh, you bastard. Checking off. Well, that's the joke of the episode. Well done. I was saying about how it took 20 years for anyone to notice Fire Marshal Bill was in the background of Liar Liar, and it's these things that there's so many things in these movies that like even now, even like nearly 30 years, guys, 30 years. Oh my God, it is 30 years since this movie came out.
Yes, oh my God, you're right.
Criterion Collection, where you at?
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, yes, please.
It's crazy.
And the Criterion cover will be the apple.
And to be clear, I watched the director's cut of this movie, which had 6 more minutes of transphobic jokes.
Couldn't get enough of them in the early 90s.
But I mean, how iconic is every scene in this movie when they go to the insane asylum, when he's wearing the tutu and he's doing the shit in reverse, like it's so
the reverse.
it still holds up.
Yeah.
It's so good.
The bit I remember, and I bring it up. Mrs. was with me for about 45 minutes. We were both a bit unwell, so she sort of crawled out of bed because she heard I was watching it, and she's like, "This is still a funny movie." But it's the bit where he sort of calls halftime, and he takes a bit of water, and then he gets on his knees, and the way he slams his head down on that bench, I'm like, how did he not break his nose? Even watching it again, and I know maybe they've added a sound effect, but the way
it looked harsh. Yeah.
That I'm like, wow.
Yeah. Jim Carrey just went for it in every scene because it's his first, it's his first feature, and he was like, you know what, I just got to go all out. What I really want to read is the original version of this movie, because even Jim Carrey has said, like, when he got the script, it was not, as he said, it was not the gift from God. Like, it was like way off from what we saw. So I really want to see what that original version.
Yeah, I was reading because it was like you're saying, Will, that the whole like the solving part, there was no real sort of like big thing. Ace Ventura was a bit of a bumbling fool. He was just just falling into things, and it was very much kind of like the director was like going, all right, he reworked it and got that whole the thing from the AFC Championship ring, and then and then Jim Carrey was like, no, he needs to be like a 007. He needs to be good at his job. Yeah, he needs to be good at his job. And
it's definitely what elevates this movie.
Big time. Yeah, big time. Instead of
over the second movie,
Mr. Magoo. Yeah. He's not Mr. Magoo. He's James
when he
Bond.
launches into the monologues where he's just like, and it does it all in one breath, and just with the opening, it's just so iconic.
I'm looking for Ray Finkel and a new pair of shorts. One of my favorite lines.
What do you know about Ray Finkel?
And a new pair of shorts.
The two of them playing the couple is great. And he's like, the engine's running, but there's nobody behind the wheel.
The old lady, the sweet old lady. She's from some other movie. I love that woman.
Dan Marino should die of gonorrhea right now. That's great, man. So good.
To this day, though, my dad and I will just, every time Dan Marino's on screen, we're like, laces out, Marino.
Yeah.
Like, we say that every time he shows up.
Now, let me ask you this question. At the end of the film, when the reveal is that Einhorn is a man, and every single man on the police force starts scraping their tongue, spitting, throwing up, what have you, it's implied that at one point or another, they've all been with her.
Or at least made out with it. Which because is that Lois Einhorn / Ray Finkel is also very aggressively horny. Feels a certain confidence as a woman, and clearly goes and seduces everybody with her charms. And I'm like, credit to her, because she has made out with the entire police force and Dan Marino.
Yeah, and the dolphin apparently.
The dolphin was like, what the fuck?
God. Yeah, I mean, and the what was cracking me up was the Photoshop of like Ray Finkel beforehand, where it just, as a kid, never noticed before. I'm like, oh, that is so Sean Young.
Yeah, I didn't clock that either until this view. I was like, oh shit, of course. I was like,
and he only realizes it because his dog lays on the photo with
insanity.
And you're telling me he's the world's greatest fucking detective. Okay, sure.
God, when he's like finding all the ex-players and just like,
that montage is awesome. That's fucking
chloroform over.
That's so great.
They're just they're whipping the guy and so getting it imprinted on his forehead. That's a very, very funny.
Yeah.
Oh, by the way, just in case you're watching or listening and you haven't seen Ace Ventura, I haven't actually given you the plot. The plot of this movie is that the Miami Dolphins. He's in Miami, Ace Ventura. The Miami Dolphins have a snowflake. Ironic considering Florida.
Well, it's a very sensitive dolphin.
Is their mascot that gets kidnapped in the run up to the Super Bowl, which is actually happening at the Miami Dolphins Stadium, which had never happened up until that point, but it has happened twice in the last 5 years, I believe. So it can happen. So yes, it's basically that they get a pet detective on the case to try and find this dolphin because they need it because it's going to be bad luck for the Miami Dolphins in the superb owl.
Yeah, it just
I was shocked to learn that
a stretch.
When I was a kid, I was shocked to learn that the Dolphins didn't actually have a dolphin in their stadium as their mascot.
Yeah, I was watching this movie going, I bet that's bullshit because there's no way.
I got excited as a kid because I'm like, well, we're the Buffalo Bills, so are there buffaloes at the game? And it's like, no,
it's just like a bunch of guys
named Bill.
Yeah, it's just me, my grandpa. Yeah.
Did your parents tell you that the Buffalo Bills were named after your grandpa or something like that? That's why it's your team.
Ooh. I think they must have at some point because my name's William. I'm named after my grandfather. So I just think like as a kid, I was like, well, obviously we're so great that they just had to name the team after us.
The James Bond comparisons for me continue because he's also got his cue. Because we have that bit where he goes through the corpse, he goes downstairs, knocks on the door, and there's this guy that put a bunch of computers.
Chowder.
Yeah, the red or the white kind. I can never remember that. But he's just down there with his computer, and he's sending off whaling fleets and shit like that. And it's like it does have all these elements of a Bond movie. He does pick up the ladies and stuff like that, and it's like. It's just straight up. I was like, it's again, only watching it now 30 years later was I picking up on all of these things, and I'm like, this is why.
It was like right when you'd said that is when I caught him impersonating Sean Connery when he's infiltrating. Like, I was like, oh yeah, that's where I know that from. Just to the camera, just taking out the henchman in the most insane way. He's like lining up the fish. He's like.
So apparently that bit where he lets go of that crane and it swings.
Oh yeah.
And they cut away and just gives you the sound effect. Originally in the movie and stuff like that, he actually decapitates them, and they were like,
"Oh shit!"
They were like, "Just cut away." So,
God. Oh my God!
But imagine though if this was like an R-rated film.
Yeah. Well, it's me, myself, and Irene. And then also, I mean, like a week and a half ago.
But funny.
Yeah. But a week and a half ago, I put on randomly because I knew we were kind of heading towards this, and it was just on. But I haven't seen it for a long time. But I watched Bruce Almighty, which brings back the same director, the same, and it's like I enjoyed it. I remember watching that movie and enjoying it in the movie theater. But it's kind of like I think they went a little bit sweeter. I think they felt bad about all the transphobia from Ace Ventura, so they went a little bit sweeter and but that movie was good too. But it's like. I mean, I was laughing out loud as well. Like for me, it's Jim Carrey again, being very Jim Carrey. The bit where he parts the Red Sea in the tomato soup, and you've got this camera from inside the bowl of tomato soup, and his face as he's doing it, and you've got the lightning and everything. I was laughing my ass off. The thing is, like Jim Carrey, because I know Jim Carrey as he's grown older, like he has become very open about his, his depression. Like a lot of very talented comedians are very like, no, actually, like he just spends all his time right now, like in his loft painting. That's what he does. Because why not? You made all the money you want. But like when he was at this time, the guy was just the most watchable, just so watchable, so good, so handsome in a goofy way, and just everything else that he brings to the table. And he can be genuine and heartfelt and charming. You believe that he can land these women. You know what I mean? It's like
there are glimpses of that in this movie too. Like when he switches it off for just a split second.
Yeah.
When there's like a bit of seriousness. And again, I mean, it is a fraction of a second, like
10 seconds worth of talking like a normal person.
There's the scene when the realization he's like, when he discovers like who Ray Finkel is, like that bit of detective work. And then they immediately go fuck. Like, it's just,
you're right.
It's like very short, but it's like, you get those glimpses of him being like a very serious person in this movie.
Well, like, it's the same thing with Courtney Cox where he's reacting against her and he's just angry. So he goes, whatever, poopy pants. And so she walks off, and then suddenly he's like talking to the dog, and he's like,
she's like not so bad.
Yeah. And
why? So you could beat him, fatty.
Saddlebags.
That's great.
There's something like in this movie where, like I said, it's very, very subtle, but the impression I get from Ace Ventura in this film is, yes, he's a cartoon, yes, he's over the top, but there is a real guy under there, and every funny thing he's doing is the character of Ace Ventura having fun doing what he's doing. Like this is, kind of what he does to have fun. And there are moments where he is genuine. It's brief, where he's like, all right, like you said, like, which is absent in the second movie, which is kind of a shame.
Jim Carrey, there, isn't it?
Yeah.
Like, as we learned, like as time's gone past, is that the real Jim Carrey is a very deep guy. Like he's a very serious dude. It's just he's also.
But it's what made this work. It's what makes The Mask work. And even Liar Liar, I think, is also like another one where that comes through and it works really, really well. And just, for me personally, once you hit the year 2000, I don't think he brings that to as many roles. And that, I love it when he's like that. Like in this movie is like my favorite, Mask is my favorite movie he's done. I love it when he's like sincere and comedic, and he's actually trying to bring the sincere.
So you don't like the number 23, is what you're saying? Because that
that's the best movie of all time.
That's where he's all serious and it's no funny business.
Yeah, get rid of the comedy, just have it straight be a conspiracy theory.
On a serious note, you get that flip on like the Cable Guy where you get that seriousness and that tone of manic, unhinged,
which is
behavior.
Also great. Yeah,
so good. Yeah,
I love it.
That's why I love when comedians take that turn to perform like a very dark role. I think we talked about like Robin Williams in 1 Hour Photo. Like you get a very funny person to play a very dark, like unsettling character, and it just works very well.
Well, let's jump in. I'm just very quickly. Let's look at his filmography. Like I like Earth Girls Are Easy. He was in a few movies, but he doesn't. Let's basically be honest. He doesn't exist until Ace Ventura: Pet Detective.
I love Once Bitten with Lauren Hutton. I love that.
That's not before it. I said this is selected filmography. But yeah, The Mask, Dumb and Dumber. The Mask, he's playing an actual cartoon character. Dumb and Dumber, he's playing basically a cartoon character. Batman Forever, he's playing a cartoon character. Ace Ventura: When Nature Calls, and it's like I said, The Cable Guy, 96, Liar Liar, 97, Truman Show, 98, and Man on the Moon, 99. That's that's when he came out and goes, by the way, I can act.
Yeah, and see, for me, I think Man on the Moon might be where I start to kind of like diverge in my fandom.
Yeah, no, I remember you were talking about that. You were like, and I, like I said, there's that good Netflix documentary. I saw that movie once. I thought it was really good. The documentary I thought was fantastic. You had the Grinch, How the Grinch Stole Christmas. I always thought that was fantastic. I thought it was great in that. But you get Bruce Almighty 2003. You get Eternal Sunshine of the Spotless Mind 2004, which many people regard as one of his best movies. But you got Lemon Snicket, where he's playing a cartoon character again. Yes, man. I Love You, Philip Morris is one I would say watch.
Yeah, you mentioned that last time we talked.
Yeah. It's mostly because it's a true story. That's the thing, is that as crazy as that movie is, and as crazy as the things happen, then you look it up and go, wait, that happened.
Hold on. Ace Ventura is not a true story.
I thought the dolphins had a dolphin.
Yeah.
And it's kind of like he went away for a few years.
My laces.
He's coming back and doing the Sonic movies. You know what I mean? I haven't seen any of those.
True.
Which are also based on a true story. Sonic is a real video game, so it's based on a true story.
Are they're making a third one? Yeah.
Yes, and he said he's coming back for that one as well. I haven't seen anything, but I've heard they're actually not that bad. But
Sonic 3 back into Hood.
Back to Ace. Yeah.
Sonic and Hedgehog.
Yeah.
Back to Ace Ventura. So it escalates a little bit, where suddenly we get a lot of Dan Marino. Dan Marino gets kidnapped, and it's like I said, because Ace is a good.
He gets kidnapped hilariously.
Yeah,
on a set of a thing by two.
Honestly, if that happened in real life, you couldn't even be mad at it.
And they're driving away dressed up as the football players. He catches the bullet in his mouth. Oh my God, it's great.
But that's another reflection of the fact is that he is a great detective. He goes and he finds out about Lois Einhorn. He puts this kind of stuff together. He realizes that Dan Marino's in danger. Like it's a good movie. It's a well done movie.
It also elevates him to a really good detective status, because all of the other police officers in this movie are completely inept at their job.
Yeah,
like,
well,
they're just like
their job is making fun of him. Like I like that scene where the Roger Podacta murder, and he walks into the murder scene, tricks his way in, and just by a little bit of observation and overhearing two people talking, he humiliates them all by showing, this is what actually happened. And it is a great
loser.
Yeah. That's a great scene of him just
it is.
And you like it. Like you like that you're rooting for this guy, this crazy character Ace Ventura, but he's
very good.
It's like, he's better than
it's one of those.
He can't catch a pigeon for shit, but
no. Yeah, I love that running gag.
Well, that's the Eagles guy's fault.
Yeah, like I mentioned on the text, or I know we're not there yet, but it makes no sense to me that the Eagles mascot is on the sidelines with the Dolphins, like just right by their players.
Yeah, he is encroaching on enemy territory. That's a big no.
But also Ace Ventura is just like creeping there, and all the players are like, as you were.
Hey,
Jim Carrey. No, he's the hero. He's just saved Dan Marino. You know, the NFL wants to thank him. But I love just even at the end of the movie, it's him just beating the crap out of I just like because he goes to the Jean-Claude Van Damme school of how to fight a mascot. Punch him. You know,
we joke like not since sudden death has there been a better mascot fight.
It is in the top 2 mascot fights in movie history,
and they've both been on this podcast.
Someone posted that on Twitter. I think I shared it to you guys, but I realized that movie that fight scene is like 3.5 minutes long.
It is really so
long.
Same.
Yeah, it's
not long enough.
Sudden Death. What a great movie. But so this one, it all comes down to it. We get the reveal of Mr. Winky. We get the heroic.
I don't remember the dick being that veiny when I was watching this.
Also, for real, that Ray Finkel has a massive penis because he's tucked it back and it is halfway up his ass cheeks. And I'm like,
he can literally go fuck himself.
Yeah, literally, he absolutely could. The guy is to that point.
Shocking.
I was like, good lord, the guy is swinging dick. He's, tucking that away.
He could kick a field goal with it.
He had done that.
But
that's the shot heard around the kick heard around the world,
dude.
God damn.
I've got, like I said, apart from like we said, the 90s of it all, of the homophobia played for jokes. This movie fucking rules. And the thing is, all 3 of these movies absolutely ruled. I loved this week. I really like this little special that we did. I thought, Any Given Sunday, I've never seen a movie before or since like it. There's nothing like it. Yeah. It is just its own genre of football movie.
This is a tough one because I think Any Given Sunday is the most football movie.
Mm-hmm. It can't be more football.
It can't be more football. I mean, you get every facet of it, from the players to the management to like the trainers and everything.
The sports center of it all, to the fans, the commentary, magazines,
it's football, the movie, right? It's Oliver Stone's football. Ace Ventura, which is the most superb owl movie, because, which again, watching this for this week, I was like, holy shit, this is like takes place 2 days before the game, and everything like hinges on this. It's wild.
It's so much a part of the plot it can't be removed. Yeah.
And Little Giants is everything you want football to be. It's just sweet and fun and like
then
everything.
Throws in John Madden and some actual Giants players in the middle of it. And it's like, it talks about Heisman Trophy, and it talks about being just the best like I said, the Ted Lasso of it all.
Yeah.
So like, no joke.
It's got the heart. It's got all the heart.
Yeah. Sure. Like trying to pick our superb owl winner. I don't even know where to begin. It's like, I don't want to get rid of any of these.
Yeah. I guess we have to decide, what's the criteria? Is the criteria like what has the most football in it, like the most football, like bang for your buck? Or do we want to go like which is the most, has the most big game in it,
Right. Because they all have a big game. We get a playoff game, a small town playoff game, and a superb owl game, but we don't see much of the superb owl.
There's really no like actual.
We never know who wins
football.
the game.
No.
The Sharks.
Okay. Yeah. But I'll tell you what, if we can give like a strike against Ace Ventura, is that we only see like some film footage of Finkel's kick. We don't really get any actual football in this, even though it is at a football stadium. It is the only.
Well, hang on. Snowflake does kick the field goal. Let's be clear.
This is true.
That's true.
And Lois Einhorn does kick it through. Apparently, that was the actual kicker of the Miami Dolphins, dressed up. And he says the director said he got it through that hole almost every single.
That was fucking crazy.
It was a great kick.
Yeah,
great shot. You're like, whoa, in high heels too. Credit where credit's due.
I don't know how you can be so accurate by doing that. That's insane.
Well, that's why they're professionals and we aren't.
In heels as well. Yes.
I know, it's fucking crazy. If he could do that in a game, that would be amazing. But yeah, I mean, so. Oh man, this is so hard. I don't want to do it. Somebody else say something because I'm about to commit to.
I already said my thing at the beginning.
It's tough. I mean, like I said, I was kind of originally picking Ace Ventura as just kind of like a joke where I'm like, isn't it funny that for picking it. But
You
then
were
to see in the
more
movie,
right
I'm
than you
like,
thought.
yeah, I was
Yeah,
like,
oh my
oh
God.
wow, actually, this is a good
They
choice.
they say Super Bowl so many times
Yeah.
in that movie.
Mhm.
It's crazy. And when we talked about doing this mini episode, I think we're leading up into the Superb Owl Big Game Super Show party, football times. I thought that Ace Ventura would be like the winner for sure. And now I'm a wreck right now. I don't even know.
Yeah,
It's
I'm
tough.
totally,
I mean,
we did fucking well, guys.
Yeah. Almost
Yeah.
too well. Three-way tie.
It's one of those weeks where we've inadvertently done really well because we've got, like you said, football the movie. You've got the football heart kids of the movie, and then this movie that's just ridiculous, but is all about the Superb Owl.
If we're going on football merit alone, just as a blanket football, for me, it's Any Given Sunday by a touchdown. By
inches.
By inches, yeah.
By inches,
God,
yeah.
see all these inches.
Yeah, honestly, Ace Ventura had way too many inches like that.
There's a lot of, I don't know, there's a lot of,
There was a lot of
inches in
He is a
Any Given
shower,
Sunday.
not a grower.
Yeah.
But Little Giants, not only has John Madden and real players, it has my favorite player of all time. So that's
Really?
extremely football. So
Icebox.
Dan Marino?
Icebox favorite, yeah. I don't know. I don't quite know where to land on this.
This is tough.
I mean,
We
because
probably should have established a criteria before doing
Well,
it.
it's our podcast. It's like it's
when have we haven't done it before? We're not starting.
Yeah, why start now?
Why start now? Exactly. 37 weeks in. Why start now?
Yeah.
But I know. I mean, I think Ryan is right as far as.
I'm sorry, what?
It's been a long time.
No one's ever said that before.
Run it back. Make
that the promo. Make that the promo.
I think Ryan is right. Subscribe.
But
But
what is he right about?
It's that Any Given Sunday is, when Ryan said it is football the movie. It starts right in the middle of a game. It just throws us in the middle of the game. It throws us in the middle of the play. It throws us in the middle of Cap Rooney's injury. Like I said, that shot where he's grabbing at the grass makes you understand just how much pain that guy is in. In moments, you're Willie Beeman and you're Aaron Eckhart's talking in his ear and he's lost and he's looking. That moment of everything's happening in too fast. Those POVs, those quick cuts and everything gives you that adrenaline rush and that ride, and also is very honest about the guys juicing and I need stuff from get out of my knee and give me drugs and I've got to make my bonus kind of thing. It's all aspects, including the ugly side of football, which is why I think you can understand why the NFL were like, we don't want to be part of this.
Yeah.
Don't you dare!
It's too real.
Yes, we don't want to be talking about blowjobs and
us.
cocaine and all this kind of stuff. We just want to be talking about the sport, the purity of the sport, which is Little Giants. Little Giants is the most pure of these movies, the purity of
It's all the fun without the head trauma.
Right.
Yeah.
So, so based on that, I'm going to eliminate Ace Ventura. I know, but we got to, as much as it is the only one that features a superb owl.
Yeah. I would just like to acknowledge that was definitely the most fun movie to watch of all three of these.
And yes, it's the one I laughed, and laughed again. And I'm so happy that it's still funny.
Yeah.
Apologies to the trans community, but it is also still a funny movie. And we have grown and we will continue to grow. At least some of us will. Other people are moving backwards in time. They can't wait to get back.
What the hell? Why'd you look at me?
I was just looking at Twitter for 5 minutes.
Shit.
Okay.
Oh no.
So it's Little Giants versus Any Given Sunday. It's Icebox versus Al Pacino. It's what is it? I mean,
The showdown we were waiting
shit.
for.
this is the moment, Will, where I'm looking for one, and you've done it a few times. It's the last second Will compelling argument for the other movie. So do you have a defense of Little Giants that can turn us around? Putting the spotlight on you.
Bruce Smith is in Little Giants. So there we go. Decided.
God damn it. You son of a bitch. You've done it again.
Because I want to give it to Little Giants because it's got the heart. It's a movie that, okay, all right, potential compelling argument here that might tip it, okay? Like, what is the best sort of movie, the best football movie? Now, I would contend that football is for everybody, okay? Now, that is the theme of Little Giants be it you're a girl, be it you're a little guy, be it whatever kind of person you are, football is something for everybody to enjoy. And so is the movie Little Giants. You cannot show your kids Any Given Sunday. That is a very adult version. Well, you can.
You can.
There's going to be a lot of fucking questions.
I'm gonna put my Ray Finkel dick hat on. That movie, now that I'm thinking about it, Little Giants also, it's like the participation award of sports. Like they kind of like, oh no, they didn't make the cut, so let them
wait.
Our own team.
The participants.
I'm not saying that because I don't believe in it.
No, because they then won, and they won on merit. They won by playing good football. They won by playing good plays. They won by being just the better team. Ooh, guys, are we now leaning towards Little Giants? Because I feel like I am. This is so.
Still no.
You know,
if it just had like a little bit more cocaine and a little bit more alligators, I'd be on board. You know, I'm into it. But
so Little Giants has no penises. Ace Ventura has one.
Well, I didn't say I had no penis.
One penis.
Hang on. I don't want that.
Any Given Sunday has a lot of penises in it. You know, so it's definitely.
So if we're going by penis count, Any Given Sunday.
I mean, that's the thing is
it's about inches.
You can't take the you can't take the football
hits
out
keep
of any
coming.
Of these movies. But like, you know, Little Giants will make you feel like warm and squishy inside, and Any Given Sunday will make you need to take a cold shower.
All right. Okay. I've got a middle ground here. How about
Ace Ventura?
Yeah. No. How about we give the award, the superb owl award, to Any Given Sunday, but we let Little Giants be the halftime show. That's my middle ground.
It's the usher of this.
Let me posit this to you: in Oliver Stone's Little Giants, or Oliver Jones' Baby Sharks, the two Pee Wee teams are just young inner city youths. Maybe, I don't know.
Al Pacino is still the coach. I want to
obviously, yes. But now Willie Beeman's the other coach.
Oh, whoa!
And Cameron Diaz is the mayor.
Cameron Diaz is now her drunk mother.
All right. Okay. Look, I'm going to tell you.
And Rick Moranis is on the sideline saying, "Fuck this shit."
I gave it the royal try. I gave it a concerted effort, but it looks like I haven't convinced anybody. So are we? Is it?
I'm going with Any Given Giants.
Pet detective.
It's Any Given
Icebox, you gotta stop doing those drugs. Get back out on the field.
All right, fine. I'm angry about it, but also I can't argue against it.
It is arguably the most football. Is it?
Yeah.
I mean, but definitely watch Little Giants.
Yeah, definitely. All right, fine. We're reluctantly handing it to the 2.5 hour long cocaine-fueled football fest that is Any Given Sunday. But that being said, that doesn't take anything away from the amazing fun that Little Giants was and the hilarity of Ace Ventura. All in all, an absolute banging week. There's not a bad movie among them. No. You cannot go wrong. But before we move on, there's one or two other football movies out there. I circled The Replacements. Are there other movies you guys were thinking about?
I kind of like but I haven't seen in a while. I'm probably misremembering it. The Longest Yard?
The original one or the remake?
I'd never seen the original.
Oh, the original one's great. It's Burt Reynolds, man. I dug it.
Yeah, well, he's also in the remake too.
Yeah, he is. I've seen them both. They're good. I mean,
the remake is there's troubling bits in that as well. That are
of course.
Well.
I mean, we've already had it on the show, but remember the Titans?
Yeah.
That's a banger.
Yeah.
That super balance back.
Yeah. I almost selected I don't think we've done a documentary yet on the show, but I came very close to selecting the 30 for 30 4 Seasons in Buffalo until I saw it was like 2 hours long or something. And then I was like,
what is this, 30 for 90? Get out of here.
Which is a heartbreaking documentary because I just relive all my childhood trauma. But
you brought this one up, Will, was The Last Boy Scout, because it has
but only like the first 5 minutes.
The last 5.
But I think we were clear we were trying to pick like NFL, not really lean into college football. Is that correct?
So we went with Little Giants, Pee Wee football.
It's the Giants team. The Giants.
Yeah.
But there's also Draft Day, a movie I actually quite enjoy. I actually own that movie. It's directed by Ivan Reitman. That's all about a draft. That's actually quite good. There's The Blind Side. We've already had it on the show, Friday Night Lights. We Are Marshall. I remember you were saying.
Yeah, I mentioned it because I hadn't seen it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's okay. It's like, oh, there's The Water Boy. I definitely considered that.
Saw that in the theater, yeah.
You know, the second string quarterback from Any Given Sunday is the other quarterback in Waterboy.
Oh, shit, yeah.
He's in
Veruza Balk?
And there's not that one. There's also Rudy. I almost went with
Rudy, yeah.
Like
Rudy, which I have seen. This is a funny quick aside about that. I've seen that movie 5 times. Every single time I've seen it has been in a school classroom. I have never seen that movie outside of like a teacher being like.
And to be clear, you graduated a long time ago.
Yeah, this is all.
So you just find yourself in schools now watching Rudy.
Anytime I hear they're watching Rudy, I show up and they're just,
"Are you a gym
Where
teacher?"
Are you? I'm like, shut up! I'm watching the movie.
I think I've got one of the best Rudy stories ever. Is that Mrs. and I we got to go to a movie party at the Alamo Draft House. So we got to go watch it. You got candles to light when there's Buddy dies. You got whistles when they're playing. Got little footballs to throw around. We all got to watch the movie on the big screen, and then afterwards, Sean Astin came out and did a 2-hour Q&A.
Oh shit!
Oh,
it was
awesome.
Fucking amazing. It was just.
What was Encino Man like?
Yeah, the thing is, it was so funny because he came out and like Sean Astin has got more energy than anyone I've ever met. But he rocks up. Like I said, we were in Phoenix at the time. He comes and sits down. He sits down and he talks for an hour without anyone asking a question. And
Did you know he was going to be there?
Yes. That's why
that's cool.
So like, but he sits down, he's just telling Goonies stories, he's telling Lord of the Rings stories, he's talking about Richard Donner, he's talking about his parents, he's talking about Hollywood, he's just telling all of these stories, you know, and we're all just sitting like, you know, at rapt attention, going, just whatever, man. And then we finally get to us, but like he sat there for longer than the movie went on and just chatted us up, and it was so cool to one, be able to see that on the big screen, but two, to be able to have Sean Astin come out and talk to us was
Sean Astin. If you're a fan, come on the show, man.
I bet we get Sean Astin. That guy is such a nice guy. Yeah. We'll do a Sean Astin special. We'll watch all of the extended editions of Lord of the Rings, Goonies.
Oh, hang on.
Wait.
And 50 First Dates.
And all of his season of Stranger Things.
Yes.
Both episodes.
All right. Okay. Look, there's a lot of movies, and if I think this could.
I had Unnecessary Roughness was one.
Oh yeah, see. Yeah.
What's her? God, I always got her mixed up
Bakula?
with. That's him. Yep. Wait, wasn't the one where she's the kicker on the team? God, what am I thinking of?
Yeah, that's the
thing.
There's so many goddamn football movies to choose from. There's Varsity Blues. Like there's so many. So I think next year, I think like we're gonna do this again. I think we're gonna have to see what we can bring to take down football the movie, which is Any Given Sunday. Radio. Oh my God, there's so many. But okay, before that, what we need to do now, through a very scientific way of selecting,
What sport are we going to next?
Yeah, we're going to do tennis.
Cricket.
Yeah, cricket. I'm going to roll this pen. I'm going to throw it on a piece of paper. I'm going to see where it connects. I missed it. I'm going to do it again.
Shit.
We are going to, it's decided. We are going to the state of Tennessee.
You're the only Tennessee.
Hey.
I saw that on a shirt once.
In Utah. Great. So there we go. Tennessee is the state that we're going to go to next week. Guys, brilliant choices this week. So much fun. I might just go downstairs and watch Ace Ventura again and have a good old giggle. Next week, we'll be going to Tennessee, so get your thinking caps on. For you guys at home that support the podcast, we love you guys. Thank you so much. So many of you join us now every month. It's really a pleasure to interact with you guys. You can find us on our Facebook page, The United States of a Movie, where I've been putting up some silly little promos, which have been quite fun. You can also find us on Reddit. If you want to interact with us there as well, you can find me online as That Englishman in Texas, or Ollie_Pettigrew. You can find Will as Entitled Millennial. You can find him on his TikTok talking about movies. You can learn a lot about movies there. Ryan loves to design things, and you can find his designs on his Threadless, Rhino Digital, RYNO Digital. You can also get on his Etsy page. He has been selling quite some really great movie posters, original movie posters. That, like, honestly, again, I tell you, as soon as I've got some disposable income, I want to. It's going to be all up there. It's going to be
I could just send you some, right?
But they cost money, buddy. So we'll figure that out. I want to pay you for your work. Yes. On that note, guys, congratulations or commiserations to your football team, whichever one won yesterday, because for us, It hasn't happened yet.
We'll edit this.
But wasn't it crazy?
We'll edit that in later. Yeah.
Sports.
Did you see that one commercial?
Yes, right. This is the day where we all talk about the commercials. But outside of that, guys, thank you so much, as always, for bringing the great movies and for talking with me at length about them. And to everybody at home, thanks for joining for this episode of the United States of a Movie podcast.